All right, so we are live now. Let me just go and find the link on YouTube, and I'll send it to you, and then we'll share it, and then we'll be cooking.
It's the same link from yesterday, right?
Should be, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just reshare that.
Sweet as. All right, so we are live now. Yeah, I can hear us. We're live. All right, I'm gonna put this in the Discord and on Twitter, and then we'll fucking get into it. Very
Yes,
keen.
sir.
Nine. All right, that's in Discord.
Yep, I got it on Twitter or
Yeah.
X or whatever
Oh, whatever the hell it's called these days.
whatever it is now.
Replay.
It's always Twitter to me.
Yeah, no, it's Twitter. It's Twitter. All right, so let me just put this on the countdown and. All right, we should be live. You've got your coffee ready to go.
Yes,
Well prepared, mate. All right, well let's get into it. So, welcome back to WagerWise podcast. This is our second episode. So we want to for this episode we'll be breaking down UFC 309 Jones versus Miocic, but we want to do a quick recap of last week's overall picks and predictions, and then we'll get into it. So obviously I'm Dylan or Provide Picks. I'm here with Ryan. So yeah, let's get into it. Do you want to start us off with the recap, mate?
Yeah, mate. So I think we had the same picks last week, same predictions. We both went 12-1 with our picks. The one being Cortavius Romeus, who he shit the bed.
Yeah, that wasn't a confident one as well. I was saying in the
Yeah.
stream for me, I had a feeling that could have gone either way, and fuck it, yeah, he didn't look very good.
Yeah, he didn't do too well in that fight. But yeah, I finished the day up 1.58 units. Can't be too upset at that. Like finishing in the green is always like a blessing. But yeah, just a lot of unfortunate things happen. Like Denise Gomes decided to clinch. Like we both had a 2-unit play on in the distance, a half a unit play on round one. And Jillian Robertson, like if you told me she would have that much control, like control time in the mount in round 3, I would have said, yep, it's a lock.
No, man, that just doesn't happen in men's MMA. Like if you get full mount for 3 minutes, and
It's
your
crazy.
opponent's sort of like, doing that, weird transition where they try and roll to their back, roll back to their stomach, and they're just getting controlled. There's just no chance that a bloke doesn't finish another guy with 3 or 4 minutes of top control when they're already gassed. That was a frustrating watch, but
Yeah, very frustrating.
has really been the story of my MMA for the last 3 months.
Mhm.
I ended I ended a little bit worse. I think I ended down 5 units. We also had a horrific beat in the under 2.5 in the Cortavius Romeus fight,
Oh,
which again, just such a tough watch given the fight almost ended at the end of the first round, almost ended at the end of the second round, and then probably could have ended any time in the third round. But you do get that when, fighters sort of put their all into finishes and they don't get it. So kind of get it. Yeah, Denise Gomes was a real weird one to me. just looked terrible. Like
Just what was
usually
the game
she's
plan?
yeah, I don't know what was going on there. Usually she's a Terminator, as in she's the one walking forward and sort of dictating where the fight is. In this one, she looked really comfortable to go off the back foot and move backwards. Look for that weird, stupid Yair Rodriguez over elbow thing that she was never going to land or never going to finish. And just wasted time basically. As soon as she started clinching against that fence in the first round, I knew the bet was fucked.
Yeah,
Um,
same here.
like I knew we were cooked because she doesn't really ever do that. She's got really good urgency for the most part, which is why I was like really interested in her. And then she comes out here and just fights completely the opposite. So yeah, pretty frustrating one there. But anyway, I mean, I'm really looking forward to this 309 card. It's probably not the best card in terms of name value or you know pure draw power. It's very top heavy the card, but there is some pretty fun matchups. I'm pretty keen to break them down. So,
Mm.
what do you reckon? So we get into this.
Yes, sir. Let's do
All
it.
right, let's do it. So I'll just switch the screens quickly. We've got a quick chat on the side. Which is more likely to make you cry? Jones taking an unlikely L or Charles getting KO'd?
Charles.
Definitely Charles. Definitely Charles at this point. All right, so first fight that we're going to get into is the early prelim opener of Veronica Hardy, previously Veronica Macedo, taking on Eduarda Mora. So we will start with Veronica Hardy. So she is a minus 145 favorite at the moment coming into this one, although her price is moving, trending upwards, I'd say. Like she's getting a sharper price. And then the comeback on Eduarda Mora is plus 125 at the moment. Again, she's been teetering. I've seen her as high as plus 140 range this week. So I think this one's going to be an interesting one in terms of price movement because I think there's an argument you can make for both women. Um, so, do you want me to start this one off, or do you want to start it off?
Oh, you can start this one off.
Righto. So, Veronica Hardy's coming in here on a 3-fight win streak, mostly against pretty poor competition. Like Juliana Miller, just way too green, doesn't offer anything. Jamie Lynn Horth, again, pretty average, but just kind of big and physical. And that, again, I say it every week, it's kind of 80% of a fight in WMMA. And then JJ Aldrich, she beat by decision also, which I think is a pretty decent look. Like JJ is okay and moderately physical, I guess, for the division. So ever since Hardy's come back, I think she had like a concussion sort of scare at some point, and she's kind of come back from it. And ever since she shacked up with Dan Hardy and had him in the corner, she is fighting a much more intelligent overall fight, which is really good to see. And then you got Eduardo Mora, who is coming in here off the back of a split decision loss to Denise Gomez, which again isn't the worst look, and that was her first loss ever. She's 1-1 in the UFC. The other one being she absolutely dominated Montserrat Ruiz, which isn't much to write home about. I'll start with Veronica Hardy. I think she's a pretty good striker. Like she's got really good speed in both of her hands and her kicks. She fights out of southpaw. She throws straight really well. And in terms of actual technicality, I do think she's pretty impressive with her karate background. Like when she's throwing in combination in range, specifically like her 1-2, she's pretty decent. She's defensively pretty solid. She doesn't get hit a lot because her footwork keeps her on the outside. My main issue with her is really her physicality. Like she's pretty small and petite for the division, so I do think she can struggle here sometimes, especially if her opponent can get in close with her. Which again, her footwork's her main deterrent for that, but it is still possible. She can defend and negate most positions against the fence, but it really shows when she's on her back. She'll be content to kind of look for submissions and engage here, which I don't love most of the time, given she's so much better than most of these girls on her feet. She holds her pace pretty well through 15 minutes, which is probably going to be the big difference here against Mora. And her style is, like I said, to fight off the back foot. She allows you to try and follow her, and then like as you get comfortable following her, she'll go backwards and then explode into range with the 1-2 or some 2 to 3 punch combinations. On to Mora, I don't rate her super super highly, but hard to deny that she is fucking massive and she's physical for the division. And in my opinion, she's moving up for this one, so she probably won't lose. She won't miss weight or look as bad as she did for her last fight. Um, Her game plan is pretty simple. Like she looks for the wrestling in, and she forces engagements. She doesn't care if she has to pull guard or look for sweeps off her back, which she uses her size and her strength really well with. I do think she's pretty dangerous on the mat though. Like she looks for half guard on top. She lands big ground and pound, and just maintains top positions while looking for submissions the whole time too. I think her striking is the definition of average. Like she's got slow hands, no defense, and really liable to be countered. And yeah, like I said, she just doesn't fuck around with her takedowns. Like she'll shoot often and all the time. She just gets straight to the hips. She's averaging 5.15 takedowns per 15 minutes, which is pretty massive. And I think she has a real path to victory in this one through physicality and top pressure off the takedowns. I'd say overall, no denying that Hardy is the better fighter. She's got far quicker hands and she throws straight extremely well, but I can't help but feel she could struggle with the physicality of Mora in this one. Like I said, Mora's not one to fuck around too long on the feet with. Like, she just shoots constantly and she's got good top pressure mixed with those ground and pound and subs. I do think she has a path to victory here, but she also does slow down in fights. So I think if round 1 and 2 is a bit of adversity, Hardy will be very live round 3 to finish. Because she's going to slow down for sure. I'm kind of interested in the under 2.5 in this one. I know they haven't been, massively hitting lately, but to me, I think Hardy's kind of live to knock her out at any point, which feels weird given she's a bit of a pillow fister. But um, this is at 125. I don't think Mora's going to take shots as well, and if she slows down, Hardy's going to put it on her. But I also think Mora's live to out out physical her early and could put her in some bad positions. But in saying that, Mora also sort of will put her head into guillotines, and I think I could see Hardy subbing her, TKOing her, and I could also see Mora subbing her at some point early. So I'm pretty interested in the under 2.5.
That'd be paying pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's good price at two. It is under 2.5 is plus 240.
Plus
So
240, pretty good.
yeah, I'm kind of interested in that. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but anyway, that's just what I'm thinking. What's your take on the fight?
Yeah, so Mura, she's moving up from strawweight, and she was a size bully like in
Yeah,
strawweight, but she also missed weight for like most of not all her fights. Like her fight before Denise Gomes, she lost by nearly 4 pounds, and against Denise Gomes, she lost by 1 pound. I do think the size advantage played into her game plan, especially against these smaller girls. But yeah, against Denise Gomes, it was a split decision. I think it was a clear loss, to be honest. Like she landed 5 takedowns, but that was out of 26 attempts. And like that fight, if anything, shows that she had a really limited skill set. When she can't get a grappling going, she definitely looked lost and uncomfortable whenever the fight was on the feet. And she just looked worse and worse as the fight went on. The more tired she got, she was just spamming the most sloppiest takedowns from round 2 onwards. And she did land because Denise Gomes ain't that great at defending. But yeah, that was the first fight to go the distance, and it's the first fight of hers to go past halfway through to round 2, as like all the finishes are coming round 1. So
mm-hmm.
the move to flyweight will probably help her cardio, but because if it's less of a weight cut, and she'll still have a size advantage against these girls, but I think she just needs to have like drastic improvements on the feet. And as for Veronica Hardy, like you touched on, like she's pretty good everywhere since her return. Before her return, like when she was going in that losing streak, she was losing to pretty good opposition, like Jillian Robertson, Andrea Lee, and I think she beat Poliana Viana.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, by sub.
Yeah, by sub. And as far back she was fighting at 135 pounds, she moved down to 125, moved down to 115, and I think she's settled now at 125. So I think she knows the feel of like a larger opponent, or like having a size disadvantage. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do like the look of her finishing late, as you said, when not Denise, when Mura
Yeah.
is a bit more tired, but also like can't deny that Mura has a lot of finishing upside in that round 1 when she's still fresh.
Mm.
I do lean Veronica Hardy in this fight because she is great everywhere. Like she's great everywhere, and Mura is good, really, really good at the one thing. And I've seen enough from Hardy to feel comfortable she has a game plan to negate Mura's one strength. While I think Mura will find it hard to be dealing with like Veronica's taekwondo fast
Mm.
striking, and Veronica may not have as much power as Denise Gomes, but she's just way more cleaner with her striking, and that could be enough to put a very tired Mura away.
Yeah, she really has nothing to offer to you, like defensively on the feet. That 1-2 that Hardy hits is going to be hitting so hard, especially given they're in those opposite stances. So that rear hand is going to be really, really important in this one, and Hardy throws it really well. I'm just having a look at some props. Hardy by submission is plus 1400, and Hardy by TKO is plus 1000. So even if I skip the under 2.5, I definitely am going to have a nibble on one of those props, or maybe both of them, because I think she's super live to finish at any point, and I'm getting plus 1,000 odds. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty keen on those.
yeah, half unit play even or quarter unit play.
Yeah, definitely going
Plus
to have
a
some
thousand.
money.
That's
Yeah, I mean submission. If you've seen the way Mora sometimes enters on those hips, her head is really, really vulnerable, and she'll probably be okay with like getting in an entanglement where she can, if Hardy decides to jump guillotine, she might be all right with that because it enters into the grappling realm, which is kind of where she wants to be. But Hardy does have a pretty good submission game overall and off her back, so I think those odds are really, really tasty.
yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's go on to the next one. I think you wanted to lead this one off, so I'll just intro us, and then you can get into it. So we've got Basil Hafez taking on Oban Elliott. So I'm sorry, Oban Elliott is coming into this one at a price of minus 235 now.
Minus 235,
Yeah, when I take this fight, probably same as you, he was like a what
minus
minus
155. I
140,
think.
yeah, somewhere
Yeah.
around there. So he's getting a lot of love and movement early, and
Mhm.
then Basil Hafez on the counter is sitting at plus 200 at the moment. So yeah, lead us off, Ron.
Yeah, so Basil Hafez, he's a fighter that I'm not quite sold on. And Oban Elliott, he's a fighter I used to not be sold on until that last performance against Preston Parsons. Anyways, I'll start with Elliott. He fights from both stances. He controls range really well by working behind a nice snappy jab. He has very controlled attacks, which sees him rarely out of balance. And on top of that, good takedowns and grappling, like when he sees opportunity. He showed great takedown defense in his last fight against Preston Parsons, which I feel will be important in this matchup. He is susceptible to leg kicks as he doesn't seem to defend them, but at the same time, he doesn't seem to be affected by them. And he carries his hands a little low at times, but he does have good eyes and movement to get out of the way. So before the UFC, he suffered 2 KO losses in Cage Warriors, one against someone pretty low level and one against someone that was actually like pretty good. But in the UFC, this is why I wasn't quite sold on him initially. He was dropped early by Val Woodburn and was able to recover quickly and took over that fight. And in his Dana White Contender Series win, he got dropped in the second round after he was winning the first. And yeah, he looked to be fading in that second round,
Mm.
but he rallied on, showed a lot of heart, and that's what impressed Dana White enough to give him a contract after that fight. But he still looked pretty green. And yeah, I think that was a matter of his opponent gassing out in the third as well. So that helped him out. Basil Hafez, on the other hand, he had a pretty decent short notice debut against our boy Jack Della Maddalena. Some people thought Basil won, but I did not. It was more so Jack being a little dumb going for guillotines when he should have just defended the takedowns. And yeah, Hafez had his moments here and there, but that's because Jack allowed for these wild striking exchanges to happen. And like, Hafez, like he does pretty well in the pocket. So he's an aggressive forward pressure kind of fighter. He paused the jab out there, trying to draw out attacks from those opponents and get reactions, and then he unloads with heavy strikes. I do find his strikes and attacks quite telegraphed a bit, like, and his punches come off a little wide. He does only have 1 KO in his record, but it's clear he has power. While Oban Elliott, he switches stances. He has more of a method to that. Like that's just based on his movement and lateral movements around the cage. But Hafez switches stances a lot as well. But I think it's just purely to give different looks, as if to like overwhelm and keep his opponent occupied. Grappling wise, he's very, very experienced, has a jiu-jitsu black belt, and I do like his takedown entries. Like in the regional scene, he was quite successful there with his grappling. He is very hittable, but he's most hittable when moving backwards. And when he's against the fence, he just resorts to swinging wildly. So, all in all, I feel the more complete fighter and minute winner will be Oban Elliott. He's got cleaner striking, mixes up between pressing forward and circling around. And he's got the ability to stuff Basil's takedowns. I think Preston Parsons is a way better wrestler, in my opinion, than Basil Hafez. So, both Hafez and Elliott try to play the countering game, trying to bait each other's attacks. But I do favor Oban's straight shots and footwork to Basil's hard swings as he's standing his ground. So I lean Oban Elliott by decision in this fight.
Yeah, nice. I don't know if I don't know if I agree that Parsons is a better pure wrestler than Hafez. I mean, they're probably pretty comparable and pretty close. Um, but I feel like there's been a few fights where Parsons has kind of struggled. I mean, if he doesn't get his wrestling going, he's going to get torched on the feet for the most part. Like he's just a bit slow and plodding, and he's tough. I mean, same as Hafez, they're tough and durable. But I think Hafez has had more success on the feet than Parsons. Like Hafez went toe to toe with JDM, and he got the shit beaten out of him in round 3. But he landed some fucking pretty nasty shots on JDM in the pocket too at some points. Um, yeah, I don't know about that one. I think it's probably close. Oban Elliott in this one, to me, he's very heavy on his lead leg. He'll fight out of both stances, but mostly orthodox. I think he's pretty vulnerable to leg kicks there. Have to question his striking defense, especially when his opponent goes first. Like his lead hand is just really, really low, and I don't think his distance management is amazing for the most part. He showed so far like really good takedown defense against Parsons, who, like I said, is not the elite wrestler, but most of his success in the UFC has been off the back of his wrestling game, with getting the fight to the mat and taking over from there. To me, Oban's like a pretty binary fighter in that he needs to have wrestling and clinch success. Um, he's just way too lax in terms of his striking defense, and I question his durability. I think he's pretty. I don't know if he's chinny, but he seems to get hurt quite a bit. Um, to me, he's like a much better overall fighter when he dictates where the fight is, where he's the one moving forward, where he's leading, the dance with his jab and then working off that, where he's entering, with his wrestling entries and whatnot. On to Basil. He's one of the clearest juices in the UFC, in my opinion. Which I mean,
Yep.
I love. I love as a better. If there's a guy that's on the juice and he's outperforming what he should be, I'm all over it. I want that. Especially if there's not going to be any fucking drawbacks for him. Like you may as well get around it. He just fights like a tank. Like no backwards movement, zero footwork. He just wants to be in there swinging big hooks and overhands in the pocket with you. Like you said, he does fight out of both stances, but again, mostly orthodox. He's just a wild motherfucker. Like he's in the pocket. He's super hittable himself. He really does have zero defensive measures besides his durability, which has looked pretty insane so far. He took some massive shots against Gall. He took some massive shots against JDM. Similarly to Oban, I think he's a much better fighter when he is the one moving forward and dictating the pace and the sort of range of the fight. His offensive wrestling is good. He's got good timing and technique, and he's also just like a physical unit, which just helps his game. I do think he clearly slows down in fights. Round 3 is almost never going to be good for him. So I do think Oban, if it gets there, Oban is in the driver's seat for round 3. I'm concerned about how much he got hit by Gall in his previous fight. Like Gall is not a striker, he's not a striking wizard, and he's never really been known as one. But he did manage to land a heap on him. That's a worry for me, particularly with that long straight right hand. I don't think he's immune from being taken down either. especially because he throws such looping shots. You can definitely time him and go underneath pretty easily. And, his takedowns are solid. He'll double leg you as well as chain wrestle attempts against the cage, body lock takedowns. He's just got a good variety of ways to get the fight down. I think he's probably the more dangerous pure submission guy in this one as well. Like from top position, he'll look for the Kimura or off his back with arm bars and triangles. Oban's probably good enough not to get caught with that sort of shit at this point, but it is just something to mention. Overall, I think it's probably a close-ish fight. Like I struggled to cap Oban because I don't really think he's like that good. I don't really know how to feel about him. I think he's kind of good, but I also think he can be hurt really bad at some points. I don't think he's a great minute winner. Like Hafez is so hittable on the feet, but he's a literal juice tank for two
Hmm.
rounds, for round 1 and 2. And I think Oban could be live to get chinned here at a point. And whilst he's a little bit longer and might win minutes, I think Basil might be able to just take his shots and just not really care more than Oban will be able to take his shots. I just think Basil's probably a bit more dangerous. And, although I really do want to fade him massively with a big dog in round 3, I'm not sure this is the spot. So, yeah, I don't have a play on this fight yet. I think if the line gets any wider, like plus 200 is insane.
Yeah,
That
if it gets wider, you have to play. You almost have to play with Hafez.
he feels the side. If that gets to like minus plus 230, like
Yeah,
I feel like I'll have to be in on that.
yeah. Like I liked Oban Elliott at one minus 155, but
Yeah, 100%.
when
That's
you
a good
said
price.
minus 235, that's not playable for me.
No, for sure. Especially with a guy that is live to get dropped at any point in any of the fights. Like he's just the minute winning potential is just low for Oban, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think it'd be a great fight. I'm really keen for it, to be honest.
Yeah, same here.
Especially if there's like some grappling exchanges, like scrambles and stuff like that. I think it could be really fun. So, yeah, pretty keen for this one. But yeah, no bet as of now.
Yeah, I still lean Oban decision, but I don't like the price that he's at.
Yeah,
So
yeah, nice. All right. So next fight we have at welterweight. We have Mickey Gall with a record of 7-6, which is just pretty scary. And then Ramiz Brahimaj at 10-5. So we've got Mickey Gall that is a minus 125 favorite currently, and then you've got Ramiz at plus 105. So Mickey Gall's slight favorite, but it looks like it might be closing in on a pick 'em.
Mm.
Want me to lead this one off?
Yeah, man.
Beautiful. All right, so Mickey Gall's coming in here on a 3-fight losing streak. So going to need to get this one to save his UFC career, really, at the end of the day. His last UFC win was Jordan Williams, which he won by sub, as he wins
I think
all.
both of them are fighting for their jobs here.
Well, they should be because Ramiz has been underwhelming. I mean, he's only on a 1-fight loss streak. Like,
Yeah,
he's what is he? He's 1-2, 1-2. He's 2 wins, 3 losses in the UFC.
yeah.
So it's not terrible, but it is better than what Mickey Gall is. But look, to be fair to Mickey Gall, like you can say a lot of things about this guy, and not a lot of it is particularly positive. But I kind of feel a little bit bad for him. Like this guy's in the UFC when he was 1-0 against Mike Jackson. Like you're in the UFC way too early in your career, and he never really got the proper time to develop his skill set against lower tier fighters on the regional scene, which is something that is so crucial in the sport. Um, and while he's always had a really good submission game, his striking has just been pox. His striking and his striking defense has been awful. But to be fair to him, I thought his striking looked much better, like in his previous fight versus Hafez. And I know Hafez isn't the pinnacle of striking defense by any means, but Gall out of that southpaw stance, he had a lot of success landing that rear hand against Hafez, especially in round 2 and round 3. And if he landed some of those same shots on Ramiz, I think that'd probably worry him at some points. Like at the same time, I think Gall's striking defense is pretty poor at the best of times as well. He's super hittable. He's straight up. He's always central. Never moves his head or doesn't move his feet. He's a stationary target, but I don't think he's really going to have to worry too much about that against Ramirez. He took the shots well in his last fight, and for the most part, he always kind of takes shots well. He can be hurt for sure because he is so hittable, but for the most part, he showed a relatively okay chin. Onto Ramiz, like he's just kind of a nothing fighter to me. Doesn't really offer anything anywhere, in my opinion. His majority of win equity comes from his submission ability, but I honestly don't even think he's like that crazy good of a grappler. He's good when he finds the back and he wears you down, and that's probably his best position, but he doesn't fight well through 15 minutes, and for the most part, he's sub one or bust. He doesn't offer much striking. He can't push a hard pace for a full 15. He can get out work. He can get out volume. He doesn't have major power on the feet. I just don't love him. Um, to me, in this one, like I actually backed Mickey Gall in his last fight versus Basil Hafez at a pretty big price. I can't remember the exact price, but I think it was in that plus 200 range. Um, and while I think he definitely lost he lost that decision, it was pretty close and hard to argue that his striking offense didn't look to improve, which is a good sign now that he's down at Killcliff, I'm pretty sure. And like, if I was to back Ramiz at this price, I would have to be confident that he has the grappling edge. He's the better grappler, and I don't necessarily think that's true. Goal's never been submitted. It's his strong suit. So if Ramiz wants to grapple, it should be pretty competitive. And on the feet, I think Goal has way more potential for damage upside, and he's going to have a big frame advantage here as well. Um, Look, it is really hard to get to the betting window for either of these guys, just given what we've seen in the UFC from them. But I think Goal's probably the side. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that.
Oh, that's fucking scary. Oh dear.
Yeah. Look, when I went into this fight, like I was thinking, oh, maybe I might have a play on Ramiz, but then when I watched their fights, I was like, yeah, Gol has to be the side. Look, I like comparing their two careers. Like 6 of Mickey's 7 wins are by submission, all rear naked chokes. And Ramiz, all of his wins are by submission. He's got 5 rear naked chokes, 3 guillotines, 1 arm triangle, and 1 kimura. Only one of Ramiz's wins are in a fight that went past round 1, and it was in a sub at the halfway mark of round 2. Otherwise, he's lost every single fight that went past the first.
Yeah.
Mickey has 5 round 1 finishes, a round 2 finish, and a win by decision. So you got slightly more variety of wins, but on the other side of that, he has more variety of losses. So he's been knocked out cold. He's been ground and pounded. I'll get to who ground and pounded him a bit later. And while Ramiz has lost all decisions, like in this point, and he did lose by doctor stoppage with that his ear coming off.
Mm.
Do you remember that? That was
I remember that. Max Griffin.
Yeah, that was really nasty. So both of them will always have early finishing upside against their opponents, but they're capped to be on the losing end of extended fights, and now they're fighting each other. So it's clear their bread and butter is grappling. One thing to capping this matchup is to figure out the whys and hows of their defeats, the difference in their striking and their defensive grappling. So both of them don't really have great takedown defense. They're great grapplers, but their takedown defense is pretty poor. Gal has 37% and Ramiz has 44% takedown defense accuracy. Gal was taken down 3 times by Basil Hafez. Not much control time, however. And years ago, I don't like bringing up fights that were over 4 or 5 years ago, but he was taken down 4 times, dominated and ground and pounded out by Diego Sanchez. If you remember that one.
That's the GOAT you're talking about there, brother.
Yeah, pre Josh Fabia.
Correct.
Actually, maybe during the Josh Fabia time. In Ramiz's last fight, he gave up 5 takedowns to Themba Gorimbo and conceded 10 minutes of control time. Ramiz landed 15 of 20 attempted strikes on Themba Gorimbo through a 15-minute fight. So I know Themba is like he's got a lot of momentum going for him. He's proven to be a very quality fighter. So I don't criticize the loss to Themba. I just criticize the effort, and that comes down to Ramiz's inability to stay the course outside of a round one finish. It's like he mentally checks out, or like it might be a cardio issue or a bit of both. But Gol, on the other hand, he may be getting battered and hurt, but he still competes hard through the 15 minutes. Like in his last fight against Hafez, he had good moments. Like at the end of the fight, he landed at a 58% clip in significant strikes. Like usually the fighter that lands at over a 50% clip on his opponent like wins the fight, right? But I think Hafez just had the better moments, hurt him a lot more. But yeah, even in a loss, I think Gol can really be proud of himself for that one, and he actually showed he had a bit of dog in him. Like we give Gol a lot of shit, but yeah, he if anything his stock rose after that fight. So coming into this, I think Gol comes in with a bit more confidence from that last fight, while Ramiz is more trying to prove himself after a disappointing showing. So I think first round will be as 50-50 as it gets. Like they both have bad takedown defense and a similar takedown accuracy rate. But and I don't even have to say it, like whoever ends up on top in a dominant position has every opportunity to finish that fight early. But I feel they'll be prepared to defend against each other's grappling while they're fresh. So I see this being an extended fight. And in an extended fight, I have to favor the fighter that has proven in recent showings to be able to stay the course. And that's Mickey Gall. And I actually think he might win by a third round submission to a really tired and unenthused Ramirez who's just trying to survive. Like in the third round against Themba Gorimbo, like Ramirez had already checked out, and Themba had plenty of opportunities to take his back along the fence, but Themba was just more interested in securing position, while taking the back is literally Mickey Gall's specialty. So yeah, I'm gonna predict a rear naked choke from Mickey Gall in the third round.
Yeah, I like it. I'm completely on the same page. I think, yeah, goal really like impressed. As I said, I had a bet on him last fight in the Hafez fight, and I was gun ballistic in that third round. I thought he was live to finish him because he was landing some big shots at some points there, and he was honestly starting to take over a little bit. And Hafez did really well at landing, good blast doubles at some times to sort of shuck any momentum. But can't deny that Gol did look much better on the feet. I mean, look at the strikes per minute. Gol's landing 3.33 and Ramiz is landing 1.74. So he's doubling his strikes. And if I'd say Ramiz is probably the better pure wrestler, and he will probably have success getting Mickey down in the first round. But I don't think Mickey. You see it all the time with these grapplers that are comfortable off their back. They don't care about getting taken down, which is why their takedown defense looks so poor in the stats sometimes, is because they're content to go off their back. They don't really give a shit. And I think that's probably Mickey here. Like I don't think he'll be afraid to go off his back against Ramiz. I don't love that because I do think he's the better striker and I think he's got an advantage there. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they'll probably stall out round one, and then I'm way more comfortable laying minus 125 on Mickey Gall over the last two rounds personally.
Same. I might actually have a bet on his money line.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good price. That
Yeah,
feels like a fine price to pay. It's not like juice to the gills, and
yeah.
um,
I definitely think Gall sub rounds 2 and 3 could be a good bet as well, or Mickey Gall round 3 or decision, like those combined.
yeah. So it's saying goal to win round two is plus 900, goal to win round three is plus 1200.
Can you see
Or
the like the round betting,
yeah,
like
yeah,
as far as the pairings, like
yeah.
round Gall sub rounds 2 and 3?
Yeah, goal sub round two is listed at plus 1800, and goal sub round three is plus 2000. We
Oh,
normally, our Aussie books normally get a touch better than that, but yeah, around there.
yeah, that's I like those prices, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. We just got a couple of comments here. Mickey Gall for WWE champ. Will Pin CM Punk.
Easy work.
What does CM Punk do? Is he that? Was he do the fucking thing?
Yeah,
Will Mickey? Will Mickey get cut if he lose? Yeah, I'd say yeah. There's not
yeah,
really many guys that go for four losses on the trot and survive. And given
yeah.
he's got a pretty negative record, or will have an almost negative record, yeah, I'd say he'd be done.
Mm.
And then we've got another comment for CM Punk. Very good. All right, so we'll get on to the next one here, which is the end of the early prelims, which maybe is not correct given there's a couple of fights we've lost. But yeah, heavyweight matchup between Marcin Tybura and Gennady Deniz. So for anyone who doesn't know, Gennady Deniz is Ryan's boy. He seems to love him for some reason and always wants to back him. So um, I'll just do the odds and then you can
I
lead
may
us
have
off.
backed him again.
Oh, dear. So we've got Tybura coming into this fight at minus 130 favourite, and then Gennady Deniz at plus 110, slight underdog. Seems to be a lot of these pretty close-ish matchups on this card. There's some massive underdogs as well. So lead us off, brother.
Yeah, so Gennady Deniz, kickboxing specialist with a lot of experience in that sport and the perfect MMA run so far. I like him at in this heavyweight division. He's fast and agile. He doesn't overextend and chase finishes. The finishes just happen. He just has so much raw power that these finishes just happen. You could see other heavyweight fighters, they're really loading up, but he does his thing and lands and boom, they're down on the ground. He is a bit hittable at times. Like Carl Williams landed shots on him, and he has very questionable takedown defense. But yeah, I think he's improving. The only thing is he just has a non-existent ground game from the back. Like Austin Lane was able to just lay on top of him. Carl Williams was able to just I think in the third he got hurt by Deniz and just took him down while he was hurt. And funny you say that I really backed Gennady Deniz. I had a bet on Carl Williams for that fight, and Carl Williams absolutely shit the bed. Like I don't know what game plan he had. He wasn't it was the game plan was always to take him down, but he just didn't do that till he got hurt in the third. Anyways, this could be an easier matchup than against Derek Lewis, who he was originally meant to be matched up with a few weeks ago. There's no power threat coming towards him. He can commit to strikes more, and Tybura is way easier to hit. The only thing is when there's no power threat coming back, there's now a huge grappling threat. So Tybura's got the huge grappling upside here, and if he gets Deniz down, he'll either finish him or Deniz will be so depleted the next round, he'd be completely gassed. Having Tybura on top of you is not the same as having Austin Lane and having Carl Williams on top of you. The thing is, Tybura's stand-up is just terrible. He plods forward with poor defense. He's very slow and labored, and his strikes just have nothing on him. His goal is just to enter that clinch, control against the fence, and then trip you. So historically, I've had a really good run betting on Tybura. Other than his last fight against Spivak, I took Tybura to beat Tai Tuivasa, Alexander Romanov, Walt Harris, and Greg Hardy, and he was at least an underdog for 3 of those fights, I believe. And I faded him with Tom Aspinall, Volkov, and Lewis. That's a no-brainer. Deniz only has 2 weeks to prepare for this fight, which is very worrisome for me. But Marcin Tybura has just taken the late call up. And yeah, I feel there's a certain level of striker that Tybura just can't get past. And I think Deniz fits that mold. Deniz has that straight and hard, accurate strikes that I feel it's going to land early and clean for him. And I reckon he's going to win by round 1 KO. And I may already have a bet on Gennady Deniz in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree, which I just don't know how to feel. I don't, honestly. Tybura, for me, is a guy that I've really struggled to just get an overall read on him his whole career. I know he's good, but he's never going to be that highest level of heavyweight. But he does have enough good attributes across the board to really beat that lower level of heavyweight by being just that step above in one area. It doesn't matter if it's the striking. He can outstrike some strikers. What I mean when I say that, just look at his recent W's in the UFC. Tuivasa, good, but grappling holes. Blagoy, just kind of average overall. Fatmanov, Romanov got cardio issues. Walt Harris, cardio and wrestling issues. Greg Hardy, everything.
Every issue.
Yeah, every issue you could have. And then his losses, Spivak, like big and athletic, and he's a good grappler, but he got armbarred from guard. What the fuck are we doing? How does that doesn't happen in men's MMA? He
Yeah.
lost to Aspinall, clear talent, Volkov, athletic and skillful. Like, I don't know. I think he's a pretty solid overall wrestler. He averages only 1.42 takedowns per 15 minutes, but only at a 33% clip. Like, not ideal numbers, I'd say there. But and I also don't think he's an auto sub if he does get the knees down. Like, Tabuera is good at controlling position, and he's really good at the rear naked choke and has good ground and pound. But other than that, like, I don't think he's super, super live to submit Denise. Like, I think Denise can probably stall for a little bit, and he will lose minutes off his back for sure. But I think he could probably defend for a little bit. I don't love his durability at heavyweight. 5 KO losses at this point, and he's 39 years old now.
Mm.
So just not the best look. Onto Denise, like I'm not super high on him if I'm honest. I think he's really green. Like, I can't deny he does really have pretty decent process on the feet. He fights well behind his long jab, his outside low leg kick, and he just fights with really good speed in his attacks, which is something good at heavyweight and something new that can get you quite a long way to the dance. What else that I like is his combinations in close in the pocket. He will lead with a jab, he'll follow with the rear hand, and be content to trade. And when his opponent tries to counter that rear hand, he always has a heap of success following up with that check hook in close, and he catches a lot of guys with it. I really like that for him in this matchup. I think he's going to have a lot of success landing that particular shot. He's going to have a major speed and footwork advantage in this fight. The main question, obviously, is can he avoid the takedown? And I don't think he's got good. Like, I don't think he's got crazy good takedown defense. He's been okay from what I've seen. Like, I'd say most of his takedown defense is really just good initial distance management and like a relatively decent urgency to just find underhooks and circle out. And that's kind of half the battle at heavyweight with these unathletic fat fucks. Um, like, I thought him going with the distance with Williams was a pretty good look. Like, he hurt him bad multiple times in that fight, stumbled him, wobbled him, and I always think that more cage time and facing adversity is really good for an inexperienced fighter to have. In saying that, I do think Williams fought an awfully dumb game plan, given he's a wrestler and he didn't shoot a takedown like he said till he was rocked in round 3. I
He
don't
got
think
that so easily too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I don't think Denise has anything off his back. Like, he showed okay balance in that fight to keep the initial shot standing, and Carl Williams had to really re-wrestle and chain wrestle hard to get that one, but he did have success to get him down. It's clear that if he gets to the mat, Tabura will have like pretty relatively big upside because while Denise has only been taken been taken down a couple of times, he's been controlled for pretty big minutes when it has gotten there. So overall, like, I don't think Tabura can hang on the feet with Denise here, in my opinion. Like, huge speed advantage for Denise, power in his hands. It should be more than enough to hurt and finish Tabura, I'd say. I think Tabura has wrestling upside if he uses it. Denise hasn't had a ton of success defending shots, and when he has been taken down, he's been controlled for minutes at times. I think he's done well to show he's safe enough off his back, but he will lose minutes. Um, Denise throws in combinations way too well, and against a guy in Tabura who's slow and shown durability issues at this point at the top, concern for me. He also is able to hold his power through 15, so I think even if he loses round 1 and gets controlled, I do think he can probably still take Tabura out at any point, really. Don't have a bet yet for me, but yeah, I think Denise is a good look. Plus 110 feels like a fairly good price.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. For some reason, the other day, I thought that he was going to grow as a bigger favorite. So I laid some units on him at minus 115 or minus 120. But last night, I saw that he was on plus 105 in some of my books. So I just put a little bit more on that.
Yeah. Do you think short notice benefits or disadvantages anyone in this one?
I'm pretty sure Marcin Tabura wasn't in a training camp for anyone, right?
No, I don't think so.
So he's
I
just
think it
like,
just got remade after that Lewis fight got cancelled.
yeah. So Tibura's coming off the couch, and Denise is already like, he's
Had his
that
camp,
Lewis
yeah.
fight was only meant to be 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
He's probably been at the PI just training, doing his normal
yeah,
thing.
yeah, and I've no doubt he's improving. He's still 33, and Tibura is 38 now.
Mm.
If anything, it disadvantages Tibura, like in a cardio sense.
Yeah.
But the matchup, it is worrying, like as a Denise backer, because of the grappling that we've seen from him. So
Mm.
I'm still confident that Denise's striking is enough to just get him out of there like pretty early. Like this is
Yeah.
heavyweight.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Let's look at some prices. Denny's TKO is his money line, like plus 110. Yeah, it's nothing really else that catches the eyes. I wouldn't touch any of the round props.
No,
Yeah, okay. No, I think we're on the same page there. All right, so let's get into the prelims. David Onama is not on this card anymore.
nah, that was called off.
Unless they make him like a really
Yeah,
short notice replacement, which I would love because I love watching David Onama. But
yeah, man.
next fight at lightweight,
I
which
love this fight.
is a great fight. You can lead this one as well.
Yeah,
Jimmy Miller, 37-18, here at lightweight again, and then Damon Jackson, who's moving up to lightweight for is it the first time in his
yeah,
career?
he's moving up. Yeah, first time.
Yeah, definitely his first time in UFC. So yeah, looking forward to this one. Price wise, we have Damon Jackson, who's sitting at minus 160, and
It's
then
160 now.
that's what it's saying, yeah. And
Oh,
then Jim Miller at roughly plus 140.
wow.
So there's been quite a bit of movement in the last 2 days where it was more or less a pick 'em.
Yeah, wow.
Lead us off.
Yeah, so Damon Jackson, he's moving up to lightweight after that grueling loss to Chepe Mariscal, where he was just drowned by non-stop activity and nearly finished him multiple times. That was a heartbreaking fight because I had money on Chepe by TKO round 2 and 3, and it was there like multiple times. Just, I think honestly, reckon the ref could have stopped it, like at least like 2 occasions. But yeah, Damon Jackson, he's got pretty bad striking and pretty bad defense, but he is relentless in the clinch, and he's not someone you want on top of you, as he has heavy top control and he'll work towards submitting you from different positions. Like he has 4 arm triangles, 8 rear naked chokes, a few guillotines, and an armbar, and he'll even like look to ground and pound you out. The thing is, he just fades in every fight. It's just a matter of if his grappling and control and the high early pace he sets has worn his opponent out more than him. Maybe this changes with a move up to lightweight, but yeah, he's always looked like death on the scales in featherweight. He should have moved up to lightweight years ago, in my opinion, but at this stage of his career, at 36 now and over 30 fights, I think he's taken too much damage. He's been knocked out brutally 4 times, and he's always in wars. He gets dropped and buzzed often from these featherweights. I just feel at lightweight he may have a bit more gas in the tank, yes, but it ain't like he's just gonna magically have Marab cardio. His style is still based on setting that high early pace, so his grappling can get easier as the fight goes. And I think he ain't prepared for the power difference in the lightweight. Like some featherweights Damon has fought were blown up bantamweights. Like he literally fought a bantamweight that moved up to featherweight in Dan Argueta, similar size to Jim Miller, worse striking, and yeah, Jackson won the first 2 rounds, but he was on his bike in the third. Argueta had him really hurt, and if Argueta had better striking and more power, he probably would have had him out of there. So he's up against Jim Miller, who is 40 and probably unlikely to compete with anyone near the top of the division again, as shown in his last loss to Bobby Green, which it was a very valiant loss. He hung in there towards the end, but it was just clear that Green's speed and clean striking was just too much. But I think he's shown to still be very good and well versed everywhere. He's definitely still durable enough to take that damage and can fight a hard 3 rounds. He still has effective striking. Like he has 3 KOs in his last 5 wins. And I've no doubt his grappling is still on point. And I feel he not only can compete with the level of fighter of a Damon Jackson, I honestly think he can beat him and finish him. Like skill wise, if we're just looking at skill, Jim is way more diverse than Damon Jackson. Jim has 27 finishes on his record, 20 subs, and 7 KOs. And since 2018, he's only lost by finish to Charles Oliveira and Dan Hooker. Otherwise, he's won 9 fights by finish since 2018. And his losses in that time have all been by decision to fighters who were just able to outwork him for a full 15 minutes. So if we're talking the last few years, outside of a like out of the blue variance-based result against Miller, which is like a KO out of nowhere or a quick submission, beating Jim Miller means winning by decision. I don't believe Jackson wins minutes on the feet striking because while Miller is old and slow, he actually has a good striking game and solid defense. He gets outworked by faster and sharper strikers with footwork like Bobby Green and Hernandez. So that's not in Damon Jackson's game. So that means Jackson's path to victory here is dependent on him out-grappling Miller, staying on top, and not getting caught by sub-attempts like armbars or guillotines, which Miller is really good at. And while they're on the feet, he needs to hold Miller against the fence for long periods of time, working knees and punches. And all of this without gassing out to secure at least 2 of the 3 rounds and making it to the end of the third. So other than avoiding Jim's heavy strikes that has the power to KO him early while Jim is fresh and later in the fight when Jackson's fatigued, he needs to avoid being taken down himself. So I got to look at Jackson's recent fights that went the distance. Chepe, he took him down 5 times, had 7 minutes of control, nearly finishing to strikes in rounds 2 and 3. Alex Hernandez, he has durability issues and consistency issues of his own. And it was a close fight throughout 2 rounds where Jackson's takedowns won him the rounds, but Jackson got dropped and nearly finished in the third. Against Billy Q, Jackson dominated round 1 with pressure, clinch, and top control. And from round 2 onwards, Billy Q was able to stuff takedowns and Jackson fell off a cliff and he was just getting teed up on and shooting slow desperation takedowns. And against Dan Argueta, a short notice bantamweight fight, like Jackson dominated round 1 and 2, but he was on his bike in the third. So Argueta had a lot of moments of his own. He could have actually gotten the finish if he was a better striker and had more power. So, of course, when I say all this, I'm aware Jim Miller is a 40-year-old man. So he'll have his challenges too. The thing is, these are challenges we've seen him pass with flying colors against higher level opponents than Jackson, who are younger, stronger, more durable, and have better cardio. So as I'm capping this fight, I instantly see value on the underdog. This doesn't mean I'm instantly betting it, but as I broke this fight down more and more and see that Miller has multiple ways to win, and it's Jackson who needs to tick multiple boxes in this game to win the projected way, which is by decision, I have to play the dog here, and especially when Jackson is getting wider and wider as a favorite. So I'm actually going to take Jim Miller, and I do think he wins by KO in rounds 2 or 3.
Yeah, nice. Great breakdown. So I'll just touch on quickly what I've got for this one. Like we said, Damon moving up to lightweight for this fight. It's probably not a move. I don't hate it. Like, he's still got a pretty good size frame for the division, and in this matchup, like, Miller himself isn't a big 55er, and he's probably more of a featherweight himself. But so I think they match up pretty well. Plus, he's been fit. Like, Damon's been finished a few times and aging, so I do like it for his overall health. Look, say what you want about him. He fights anyone, and he does force some pretty gnarly, grueling style fights with a heap of clinching, grinding style, lots of pressure and scrambles. Just a really gritty style of fight. I don't think he's particularly great at range on the feet. He's only got average speed, average power. He loops his shots a little too much for my liking. Striking defense is it's okay. Only been stopped by Ilya and Ige at 45, which honestly, that's probably you can't really deny that's not the worst look. I think Ilya and Ige would hurt. I mean, you know what they're like. They knock out most of their opponents. So it's honestly not the worst look. And I think both of them were. I know the Ige one was late in round 2, so he survived 10 minutes with Ige. He only survived 2.5 with Ilya, which is 10 minutes with anyone else, I guess.
Yeah.
He has the ability to fight out of both stances if he needs to. I think he's best in the clinch. He's got good head position. He uses it really well to land solid knees to the body. He uses collar ties to hold you close, and then he'll come in with the uppercuts, and he just wears on you. In terms of pure grappling, I think he's pretty good in scrambles, and it's probably where he's can have a good amount of success for the most part normally. Chepe had a heap of success against him with his judo style throws and trips, and he was able to really physically just like toss Damon around. But in saying that, Chepe's pure judo is pretty solid, and I don't think Jim is that guy. On to Jim Miller, coming off that really tough loss to Bobby Green at UFC 300. Not the greatest look there, but I still think Bobby has way more to offer than Damon at this point in his career, and it's just a kind of a tough stylistic matchup for Jim in that one. Um, you know what you're going to get with Jimmy at this point. Like, he's a southpaw kickboxer on the outside. He likes to throw that leg kick. He likes to crash in a range with a big leaping cross. Striking defense isn't very good, very hittable, wears a lot of shots. But in saying that, pretty hard to overall finish. Speed overall, not great, but get away with it versus most guys. Just couldn't get away with it against Bobby, who is like ridiculously fast with his hands. I think Jim has started to rely on his striking a little too much for my liking. I think his grappling is so pure and really dangerous from a pure sub perspective, but he hasn't really looked for it in quite a while. Like, he's pretty happy just to strike on the feet with you. He still has relatively good power in his hands. He did land on Green well quite a few times in that fight as well. And in his last 16 fights, although he's 8-8, he's finished all those 8 wins. So I think if he's going to win, it's probably inside the distance. Overall, pretty good fight. Pure striking on the outside. I think it's close, but Jim better from kicking range. Damon better in the clinch and in close. Grappling should be really, really fun, I think. It's just a close fight. Like, I think Jim could stumble him and hurt him at any point. I also think Damon could potentially break him with a bit of pace and pressure in pure wrestling. I kind of lean violence here. Like, I think if Jim is to win, it's by stoppage, and he's stopped most of these opponents that he's beat recently, and I don't think Damon is any different. Like, I think he's probably potentially live to get hurt by Jim at some point. I think Jim could sub him. I think Damon could hurt and sub him potentially. It's probably not my strongest violence read because I think Damon maybe is less on the, as much as a finisher. His only TKO I can really remember is Pat Sabatini in round 1, and that feels like the most variance-based outcome I've ever seen. Like, if they fight 10 times, does he really knock him out in a minute in round 1 10 times? Like, I think it's pretty low. So it's not a hugely confident read. I like Jim at a dog price, but I would probably be more inclined just to take Jim inside the distance and get like an even more juice price and be happy with that. I think I'm just having a look now. Miller wins inside the distance plus 165. It's not a huge boost. So, not a strong read on this one. I think maybe Jim might be the side of the number, but yeah, no bet for now.
Yeah, I got Jim Miller at plus 125.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Beautiful. All right, so the next one, which I spent too much time on, and this will be very interesting to see where we both land on this one.
Yeah, I have already put a bet on for this fight too.
Yeah, I'm very close to getting the betting window. Chris, we've got at middleweight Chris Weidman 16-7 taking on Eric Anders 16-8. So price wise, we are looking at Chris Weidman at a plus 107 price, plus 105 roughly, and then actually it might be a little bit higher, plus 110, I'd say roughly. And then you've got Eric Anders as the favourite at minus 130 to 135, somewhere in that range. So I'll lead us off on this one. Let me just get my notes up. So Eric Anders, this is my legit breakdown on him. Man, this guy he's just slow. He's so slow. Pure hand speed. Anyone with average speed in their hands should have success landing on this guy. He's so open to counters. His boxing defense sucks. He overthrows, overextends. He's honestly been dropped bad in both of his last fights against Marc-Andre Barrial, which is just not a good look. Even Pickett dropped him really bad, and that's just not a good look at all.
Rocked him, and dropped him as well.
Bad look. I just think he's got horrific process on the feet. He's got no idea what he's doing there. He's got okay wrestling, but it's more just like he likes to waste time against the fence. He'll wear on you. Um, he only shoots 1.24 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 22% accuracy. Pretty shit numbers, and and it's not like he's like a pace king. Like he slows down as fights goes on, and he likes to rely on his wrestling late, which I just don't know if he's going to have the advantage in this one. Onto Weidman, look, no doubt, his best days are behind him. You just can't argue that. But overall striking defense and overall defensive game not great. Tavares took advantage of it, destroyed his legs in both stances, but mainly out of orthodox, and he couldn't fight for shit out of southpaw, which southpaw forward is the leg that he's broke. So I think he's just kind of. I don't think he has great movement off that right lead leg. Um, he is super gritty still though, man. Like there's not much quit in him, which is impressive after how much he's been through. I think something else you have to note as well is he is ridiculously good for a foul. Like he will low blow, he'll eye poke. He doesn't give a shit. Like no problem. And I like that at this point, to be honest. No ref is taking points within three fouls. Like you have to do something pretty serious 3 times
Yeah.
for a ref to even like step in and warn you at this point. And it's a serious advantage for a fighter who's okay to bend the rules, and he's okay to do that. So may as well take advantage of it. His overall boxing game's not amazing, but I do still think it's better than Anders at this point, who is just slow as shit. He's a good wrestler too himself. I do think his actual takedown game has probably suffered due to the injury, and like it just looks like he has a little bit of a lack of explosiveness due to that leg. Like he doesn't power through it, and just things like that, which is to be expected, obviously. And he'll just be happy enough to hold you against the cage, look to chain wrestle, shitty attempts, and just wear on you. If he can't get you down, win minutes. I think he's probably the better pure submission grappler also. So if there's sub upside, it has to be for Weidman. Overall, I favour Weidman in this fight, which scares me to say in 2024. No doubt he's lost some athleticism, but overall skill is okay for the level he's competing against. I think he's got faster hands. He'll be landing the bigger shots here. I favour his ability to take a shot at this point too. Wrestling game is pretty close, but I probably lean even Weidman there slightly. But in terms of pure sub danger, I think Weidman is the edge there. They land and absorb similar amounts. I just think Weidman has to be the side here, which is horrific in 2024. But yeah, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, so initially I had zero interest betting on this fight, but then I saw the betting lines. Weidman, he may be washed and a few years older. He's been KO'd many times and he had that horrific leg break. But I think the odds here are so wide it made me bet it yesterday. I got him at plus 140.
Whoa.
So in his last fight, let's forget the fact he won by eye pokes. He showed good volume and diversity in his attacks. He switched stances to attack different targets with his kicks, and he had good combos in boxing range. And he was countering really well with check hook, straight rights, and eye pokes.
Yeah.
He also showed pretty good head movement, speed, and defense. Like Bruno Silva, he only landed on Weidman at the end of 3 to 4 strike blitzes. Otherwise, Weidman, for the most part, avoided the one-shot attacks by getting out of the way with his feet or countering. He showed good clinch control when he got Silva along the fence, hurting him with those knees, and he racked up good clinch control time where he just showed good awareness and strength still. He hasn't been able to show off his wrestling as of recent. Like he couldn't take Tavares or Bruno Silva down. But, to be honest, if he shows up 50% of what he used to be, I think he can at least negate Eric Anders's takedowns. So in this last fight, Weidman showed me in for as long as it went that he had the qualities to beat an Eric Anders. So
Mate, you've got the qualities to beat Eric Anders.
Yeah. Just speed and actual
just anything.
Having process.
Yeah, just anything.
So Anders, he's younger, but he's 37 years old. He's also in the older end. He's a southpaw pressure fighter, walks forward, he feints level changes, he has a decent high kick, decent body kick, powerful straight left, but he wins fights by rushing to the clinch where he just holds them there. tries to get the takedown, and if he gets it, he'll lay on top of you and like attack some heavy ground and pound. But Anders is so slow. He's flat-footed, and his punches and kicks are so telegraphed. Like his strikes might be the most telegraphed strikes in like
He
all
is.
of the UFC.
Oh man, he's one of the slowest strikers I've seen doing tape recently. I
Like
reckon.
you can see him like throwing that straight left or a kick from a mile away. Like
100%. Yeah.
um future Hall of Famer Jamie Pickett, he caught him with a counter straight right, like
Yeah.
after Anders landed that left. He saw that from a mile away, and that's Jamie Pickett, a low level like striker. And another thing with Anders is when he's up unloading, he doesn't bring his hands back up and doesn't move his head, so he is open to be hit. Like Pickett dropped him from that because Anders was just throwing like wild hooks in the pocket. So while Weidman has a history of being knocked out and finished, Anders also has a history of severely underperforming when expected to win or on a big stage. So this dates as far back as his first main event against Lyoto Machida, where he was favored to win and he looked terrible, right? And he's fought in 5 pay-per-views and only one of them he's won. This is not only a pay-per-view event, but it's a pro Weidman crowd. Though one thing is Weidman has fought in New York 3 times and he's only won the once. So how I see this fight going is Anders pressuring forward, throwing single shots, and Weidman moving laterally, throwing different kicks, countering Anders' punches, and just keeping active with volume. I think especially early, it may play out close. Like Weidman may connect multiple times on Anders. Like Anders is not hard to hit, but Anders also has more power and he could rock Weidman. But I think Weidman can take a shot from Anders. Like it takes like
He's been taking shots from Bruno Silva and
yeah,
things like that recently. Like I think his chin has looked fine. He's taken
yeah,
some decent shots and he hasn't even been hurt really. He took some
like,
good shots against Tavares. I know Tavares isn't like a power puncher, but he took them fine.
yeah. And the guys that have knocked him out, like Dominic Reyes, when he went up to light heavyweight, fair enough. Yoel Romero knee, fair enough.
Yeah.
The Luke Rockhold ground and pound, that was brutal. So yeah, so he does have a better chin than what people think. But yeah, so in this fight, how Anders usually separates himself in fights and secures rounds is his clinch control and his grappling. And while Weidman may not have shown like much wrestling in a while, if he's even half the wrestler he was years ago, and I don't doubt he's continued wrestling in the practice rooms, he can neutralize Anders' clinch and avoid getting taken down. There's been lesser level grapplers able to do this, like Jotko and John Young Park. They come to mind. They were able to neutralize Anders' wrestling. So yeah, Weidman has a 65% takedown defense accuracy, and he's only been taken down by Luke Rockhold, Yoel Romero, and Omari Akhmedov.
The goat.
The GOAT. Eric Anders, he has slightly better takedown defense, which is at 72%, and he's been taken down by Darren Stewart. Yep, twice by Darren Stewart,
Oh dear. The
Andre
dentist.
Muniz, Thiago Santos, Marcus Perez, and Tim Williams. I don't even know Tim Williams.
Mm.
So yeah, when Anders can't get his grappling and clinch control going, he not only gives the optics of a frustrated fighter, but he just continues to force these exchanges and he just hopes that the opponents will tire out. So I see Weidman winning rounds 2 and 3 convincingly through defending the takedowns, neutralizing clinch control, and just having more volume and defeat. So I think the dog will take this probably by decision.
And even if he does get taken down, like the grappling level isn't close. I
Yeah,
think Weidman's a way better grappler. He could sub
agreed.
him off his back. If he gets top, he could sub him. He's going to outwork him. I don't think he's going to slow down through 15. If there's someone who's going to look minus 200 in this fight, I think it's Weidman.
Yeah,
He has potential to look minus 200, which sounds horrific to say
in
because,
2024.
yeah, because he's so washed. But Anders just sucks.
Yeah,
And the only thing that I've heard as an argument for Anders this whole time is that he's sober now.
sober now.
Who gives a fuck? I don't think that's going to make much of a difference.
And doesn't he train out of a high school or something?
I don't know where he trains. He was at Fight Ready like a couple of fights ago, and he looked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he looked all right. And
Yeah.
now I actually have no idea. I'll see what it says on Tapology.
Yeah.
Spartan Fitness MMA.
Yeah. Haven't heard of them.
No, it's got. Let's see, the top fighters are. Yeah, him.
Just him. Yeah.
Yeah, which is concerning.
And Weidman, he's still training with Sarah Longo.
Yeah, he's in a good room, man. He's got
Yeah.
good coaching. They're smart. They take advantage of rules in MMA. I just locked him in. I locked him in. What did I get?
What
Plus
do you get?
120. Plus
Plus
120.
120. Nice.
Yeah,
I got him at yesterday plus 140 through
from Price. What'd you get him?
1.75 units.
What'd you
Plus
get him?
140.
What site did you get him on?
Oh, give me a second. I got him.
I just got him on Neds at plus 120, which is probably the best. Yeah, the best price getting around.
Oh, my bad. Plus 124 is what I got him.
Plus 124. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
at Palmer Bet.
Palmer bet. Yeah, right. Fucking hell, we're really getting niche now.
Yeah, I know.
Nah, good. Well, I'm glad. Well, I don't know if I'm glad, but we're on the same page for that one. Which,
Yeah.
oh god, that's concerning. When I came to that conclusion, I literally like sat in front of my computer. Was like, wow, is this what we're doing? Is this the
Yeah,
point? Is
yeah.
this the point that we're at?
But hell, we're both on it. So
Yeah. Yep. Must mean something.
yeah.
Okay, let's get on to the next one. I am super keen for this one. I don't know about you.
Yeah, this will be a fun fight.
Yeah, this is going to be a sick fight. I'm really, really keen. I think I led the last one, so you can lead this one.
Yeah.
Jonathan Martinez, Dragon, coming in here at 19 wins, 5 losses. Coming off the back of that loss to Jose Aldo in Rio. And then you've got Marcus McGee, 9-1, 3-0 in the UFC against pretty piss competition, but he's 3-0 nonetheless, gets a step up here. Price-wise, we've got Marcus McGee, who looks to be sitting around that minus 140 range. And then you've got Jonathan Martinez at plus 120. So it looks like a little bit of money has come in on the underdog of Martinez. Lead us off.
Yeah, mate. So I've been just keeping an eye on the prices, and yeah, it is staying at that minus 140 range for McGee. I'll start with Martinez. He is 30 years old. He is a very technical kickboxer, very fast, very elusive. And he came into his last fight against Aldo with like huge momentum, and he completely shit the bed. It was he looked shell shocked in that fight. Like he looked like he was like admiring.
Starstruck.
He was starstruck, yeah. And like apart from throwing kicks from distance that Aldo blocked and throwing the leg kicks that Aldo defended, he never looked in the fight. Maybe in the first like few minutes, but he even finished that fight getting rocked pretty badly. I think Aldo showed him mercy there by taking him down.
Oh, 100%
That was a mercy call.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was not good for my Aldo KO bet, but
oh, I feel ya.
I still had quite a bit on his money line that fight. I think we both did.
Yeah, I did as well, yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Look, I'm not going to write off Martinez because of a loss to Aldo. He's still very, very good. And if he faces someone technical like himself who fights from distance, or someone not even technical who just wants to fight from distance, then I will favor Martinez. But I don't really like him against Marcus McGee here. And yeah, like you said, McGee is 3-0 in the UFC and he hasn't faced like the best competition, but I think he has the right style to beat Martinez. Like he'll start the fight off with smart pressure, finding openings. He switches stances a lot, feints heavy to see reactions. And I think in this time where McGee is like getting his reads, that's when Martinez can rack up winning minutes. Like from kicking range, it's Martinez all day. And if Martinez's movement confuses McGee enough and makes him unconfident, then I think he can secure round one. And if he like keeps him like that, which I doubt he could secure round two. So in saying that, if McGee came into this as a one-dimensional fighter, it might give me reason to bet on Martinez. But McGee really effectively mixes in his takedowns, and he's very, very strong in the grappling. Comes from a very good team at the MMA lab as well, and I'm sure they'll have a great game plan. I see McGee shooting a takedown at some point in the first. Whether he gets it or not, he will wear Martinez down with his heavy pressure and force Martinez to fight in the boxing range where Martinez is just not comfortable. McGee thrives in like heavy, and he thrives with heavy and calculated strikes, and I think he will land something big and drop him, to be honest. Martinez has been dropped before, I'm pretty sure, to Davy Grant.
Yeah, he's been He's been hurt quite a few times on the feet.
Yeah, and yeah, he's been knocked out cold before,
Mm.
and I do see this happening maybe towards the end of the first or some point in the second. Like out of McGee's 9 wins by finishes, only one win was in the third round. So, and Martinez's lone KO loss was in the second round. So, yeah, I'm gonna take Marcus McGee in this fight by a KO, maybe in the second. I don't know if I'm gonna bet it. However, I'll just keep an eye out on the prices. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of. I think I might be on the same page a little bit. Like, I'll start with Martinez. You know what to expect from him at this point. He's a southpaw kickboxer, very traditional sort of kickboxing stance, which is very wide, heavy set, not a lot of footwork. I think there's a certain fight in which he excels, and that's like you said at kicking range, and particularly southpaw versus orthodox matchups, where the emphasis is on the rear hand and the rear leg, because they're by far his most effective strikes by quite a length, and he's also really effective at hand fighting in this stance and just eliminating the lead hand. Um, Leg kicks are his proper game changer. It doesn't matter if it's inside or the outside leg. He just brutalizes the calf with speed and accuracy. It really only took 3 good ones to completely compromise Yanez. Likes to operate either all the way in or all the way out. He's great at kicking range and pretty effective in the clinch too, but he can definitely be caught on the in-betweens. I also think defensively, like when his opponent goes first, he can just be too content. I don't know if you noticed this in the tape to like block shots with a high boxing shell and just stand tall.
Yeah.
As in, like he'll just like if his opponent's going first, he's not thinking like I'm going to try and slip this and counter or like I'm going to parry and counter or things like that. All he does is just go. I'm just going to block like this, and his hips are so open. Um, like I think if anyone is a decent striker, I think his opponent will start the round with some boxing combinations, set the feints high, get him to cover up, and then they'll just go under. Like Aldo did it in the third round against him late, where he heard him, made him, went upstairs, made him think, and then that's exactly what Aldo did. Like I think Aldo might have fainted once. Martinez went like this, completely covers his whole face, and then Aldo just went, "All right, well, I'll just fucking grab your hips and toss you." It
Mhm.
was honestly pretty simple, and he does it a lot in his fights. I think if Marcus and the MMA Lab have been watching any tape, I think they'll have a lot of success with takedowns here. I also think Martinez is a little bit chinny. I've seen quite a few of you guys hurt him, specifically with like pure boxing combinations while he moves backwards. I think he's definitely vulnerable here. Um, I also think at times he's a little bit hesitant to go first and he can be caught staring. And I also think he struggles when he's not at a speed advantage. Grappling is obviously his weaker point, but to be fair to him, he does have a pretty effective armbar from guard, and he's won a few times from it. And he actually had Said Nurmagomedov in huge trouble at one point too. But I do think he can be out grappled and beaten to position at times, although he is pretty gritty in terms of actual sub defense. Now on to Marcus McGee, switch stance fighter. I've seen him have success out of both stances, but if I'm a betting man, I would probably expect him out of southpaw here, just to force that southpaw versus southpaw matchup and sort of eliminate the effectiveness of Martinez's game. Um, McGee's super fast boxing combinations when he moves forward. He likes to fight on the outside and then use his footworks to cut angles in and out and kind of explode into range with fast combinations. So far in UFC, he just seems to be able to catch his opponents off guard um, with his speed. I think he's a pretty intelligent fighter too. He knows what holes his opponents have in certain areas and he exploits them there. He's just very aware of his opponent's weaknesses. I think his overall level of competition is like stupidly low and just nowhere near comparable to who Martinez has been fighting. We also haven't seen him face any adversity in the UFC yet, so I'm very interested to see if he does face some here. I also like that he can fight moving backwards and forwards, far more comfortable leading the party, but I do think his defensive footwork is helps him to minimize damage and just reset positions. Like I don't think he'll give Martinez much of a chance to just kick him on the outside. Like I think he'll be out of range and then he'll be circling, resetting, and constantly just shifting where the fight takes place. In my head, I kind of remembered him in the UFC having some takedown offense. Like, do you have that sort of memory of him being like a decent takedown guy?
Not really.
Not really. Yeah, I don't know why in
Mm.
my head I thought like he kind of had some wrestling success early.
He
In
does
his
have a submission, I think.
Yeah, he's got a submission, but it was from him just dominating
Yeah.
Journey and Journey quitting. Like he didn't. I don't know. In my head, I thought he had more wrestling success. I don't know why, but yeah, it's just not really the case. Like he only lands 0.85 takedowns per 15 minutes, and like you said, that submission, it was a club and sub. Really, it wasn't like from him taking the fight down. I also think his defensive wrestling isn't amazing. I think he has a potential to be out grappled soon, particularly with someone who's good on the back. But overall, like this is an excellent fight. I think yeah, clearly edge Martinez in terms of quality of competition. It's just not close. Um, McGee has only beaten the bottom of the barrel fighters in the UFC, so he is getting a clear step up in competition here. But I do think the speed of McGee could be the difference here. His hand speed is excellent, and we've seen Martinez struggle with fast and powerful boxing combinations before. I also weirdly think Martinez has maybe some submission upside.
Mm.
Like I wouldn't be shocked, as I said, to see McGee land some takedowns, especially after he sets his boxing up upstairs to the head and just gets Martinez to feint and cover up and go and then take him down. I think it could be wide open, and given the intelligence that McGee has shown overall, I would love to see it. But if he does do this, Martinez is actually like a weirdly effective grappler and could force something off his back. I think it would be an enormous price. But yeah, I think I like the unders look here. If it's a striking fight, I think McGee is super live to knock him out. Like I said, I also think Martinez might have submission upside. Yeah, I definitely lean uh, McGee at the price. I think minus 140 is pretty solid price for him. Under 2.5 plus 140, I don't mind that as well. But yeah, that's my read anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's a good fight though. I'm damn
Yeah,
keen
I'm
for it.
excited for it. I'm more excited to just watch this fight, like
Yeah, me
rather
too.
than bet on it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if McGee can handle the step up in competition.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. So now I think this might be the first fight on the main card. At lightweight, we've got Mauricio Huffy. I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah,
Huffy.
Mauricio Hufi.
Huffy, yeah.
Hufi, yeah.
So Mauricio Huffy taking on it's probably James, but I'm going to say James Lontop at 14-4. So price wise, this will probably stump you. Minus 900 for Mauricio Huffy and plus 600 for James Lontop.
Sounds about right.
Um, yeah, so I'll start this one off. Mauricio Huffy, just like super unorthodox style on the feet, has that very wide bladed karate stance, lots of good footwork and feints. And while he has low hands defensively, he relies on his reactions and sort of slipping shots, rolling with shots, seeing shots coming. He attacks with offense that really revolves purely around speed, whether it's kicks or punches. He just comes in with a heap of speed and from some weird angles. He's a very patient striker. Like I don't think he's necessarily huge one-shot power, but he is a great finisher who just chips away at you and wears you down with damage. I also I don't think he's immune from damage. He still gets hit a relatively a decent amount of time, but he's good enough to keep the fight in his range for the most part. And as he does see shots coming pretty well, he's able to roll his shoulders and just absorb shots better than most people. Um, he's clearly just an intelligent striker. Made a good read for the knee versus Malaki, who just continually dipped his head straight down. We haven't seen his grappling defense tested yet, and we won't see it in this matchup. He's fighting out of fighting nerds, which are just dominating at the moment. I don't know whether that's due to they're actually good or they're stacked of juice, or I don't know what it is. Probably a combination of all of it, but they are flying at the moment. Um, Onto Lontop, honestly, it's not a lot to note. Like just an average level Peruvian kickboxer. No particularly crazy power or speed. Going to be at a very severe speed disadvantage in this fight. He's shown to be durable though, but I don't really want to have to rely on his ability to eat shots versus a guy like Huffy. Good kicking offense, lands good roundhouses out of orthodox, but that's really about it. Overall, I just think Huffy is the far more dangerous, fast, powerful striker. Long top going to be severely beaten to the punch here, in my opinion. He's been durable so far in his career, and Huffy has shown decent. He's shown decent patience for the most part. Kind of makes me lean Huffy round 2 or 3, but I wouldn't bet it. And yeah, I think Huffy it's a setup spot for Huffy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely a setup spot. In Madison Square Garden on the main card against a super like hittable opponent, absolute setup spot. Um yeah, so with James Lontop, I actually bet for him to win against Slava Claus, and I was actually pretty pleased with his performance despite losing a split decision. He's not great, but he's tough and gritty. He hasn't been finished before, I don't think. He hasn't been knocked out before, at least. And I think he has the style to actually produce like surprising, like fight of the night worthy performances if given the right dance partner. So I kind of wish he was rewarded with a layup opponent since he's 0-2 in the UFC, because he could prove to be a very fun early prelims addition to any card, but he's now found himself to be a lamb to the slaughter. So yeah, I don't really have much more to say about Rufi that you didn't touch up on. He's probably had one of the most impressive UFC debuts as of recent. I will say his Dana White Contender Series debut was very impressive. He won in the third round against a 7-1, 7-0, I think,
Yeah,
Russian.
Dagestani guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
Magomedov.
and he was an underdog in that fight, and he like it was a close fight throughout rounds 1 and 2, but yeah, like Huffy showed he can overcome adversity. He was in a dogfight against that Russian. Like the Russian had like good striking, and like Huffy stayed composed, kept him at his range, and he made the right adjustments, kicking the legs. And in the
Mm.
third round, the Russian like gassed out, and Huffy turned it up, and finished him with less than a minute to go. That was a fight he could have potentially been on the wrong side of a decision of. So um,
Yeah, we had him
yeah,
at a dog price in that one on Contender Series. That it was just a good look for him. Like
yeah, for
tough
sure.
opponent, competitive fight, and just had more will to win. Really.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, the obvious pick is Mauricio Huffy here, and I think from a betting angle, if you want any part of this, it has to be like a time specific prop. Like you might look at it under 0.5 rounds or
Do you think it's going to
roughly
be
around
that quick
two.
though?
No, I don't, but like I'd imagine the numbers for under zero point 0.5 or a Mauricio Ruffy to win in round two is better than just
Yeah,
a
it has to be.
finish prop, because I'd imagine the KO prop is, I don't know, I'm gonna guess minus like 200 or something.
It's Ruffy Hoofy by TKO is minus 145.
Yeah, minus 145. Yeah,
Apparently,
he could very, and then in the distance,
uh, Hoofy 210 minus 210.
minus 210. Yeah, so I wouldn't bite at that. But if like for anyone that has a strong read, it'd have to be a time specific prop.
Yeah, what do you feel about the over and the under? You've got over one and it's at 1.5. So you've got over 1.5 is actually favoured minus 165, and then you've got
Minus
under
165.
1.5 plus 135.
Well, Yontop has not been finished before,
Yeah,
and Huffy, he could use this as a showcase kind of fight. He could try to drag it out, maybe. I'm
yeah.
not
I mean,
sure.
he's a pretty patient fighter. Like he's
Yeah,
not just going for the kill; he's sort of chipping away and like just wearing on his opponents. And Malaki, like has serious durability issues, so I don't think you can put a whole lot of stock into that early
yeah,
finish. Like most fighters might maybe survive, but I don't know. But he also could come out here in style, so and finish him quick. I'm not super keen on getting involved in this fight
no,
at all, to be honest.
no,
I just think he could win under, he could win over. Honestly, TKO being minus 140, if that's true, that feels like a decent price given um, his money line is minus 900.
yeah,
So
that could be
I'm
worth it.
kind of thinking that's not real, that price. Um,
Yeah,
he's got 10 wins. He's 10-1, 10 wins by TKO. He hasn't won by any other method. And his money line is minus 900. I don't think that can be a real price of TKO being
no, it
minus
has to be.
145. That's way too low. It'll be like
Yeah,
minus 300 if anything.
yeah,
So if you find that price, I would play it. But yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, we're on the same page on that one. All right. Next one. I think we've got 3, 4 fights to go. So getting
All
there.
right.
Getting there. Women's
So,
flyweight. Viviani Araujo at 12-6, taking on Killer Karini Silva at 18-4. price-wise, we've got Creamy Silver sitting at minus 250, roughly, and then Araujo at plus 210. You want to lead this one, or you want me to?
I can lead this one.
Go for it.
I think Karine wins this pretty handily. I did bet against her when she fought Ariane Lipski because I thought Lipski could touch her up for some reason on the feet and defend takedowns early. Mind you, this was when Lipski, or Ariane De Silva now, was coming out of that Casey O'Neill win as a dog. So I thought I thought I was onto something there. But Karine showed she was comfortable in the feet, though she's not dangerous, but she actually had process. But she did what she usually does and just took Silva down multiple times in multiple ways and just bullied her there. This was also her first win by decision, so like I always think it's valuable for a fighter that has been winning by finish their whole career to win by decision. So yeah, she doesn't stop working once she's on top of you, and she's always looking for that finish. She has multiple ways of getting the fight down to the ground. I like how she can take the back from the clinch and drag her opponents down, but she also has good trips, double legs, and single legs. She's up against Viviane Araujo, who's 12-6. She's won by KO 3 times, 4 subs, 5 decisions. In Araujo's last 5 fights, she's 2-3, but she's fought some really good competition, like in those losses. Alexa Grasso, former champ, Amanda Ribas, and Natalia Silva, potential contender. Well, she is a contender, potential
Potential champ, maybe.
champion, I'd say. Like Araujo, she has decent striking. She's just not technical, but she's shown good like power and explosiveness, and she has okay grappling, in my opinion. I think this is a spot where we can see Silva's true potential as a contender. Like Silva lacks power on the feet, while Araujo, like she ain't no knockout artist or anything, but that's an aspect where she may be the more dangerous fighter. I just want to see how Silva handles that. But at the end of it, whether Silva does not perform to her best or not, I cannot see Araujo defending the takedown for like a whole 15 minutes. But I could see her surviving. Like she's very hard to be put away. She's never been submitted, and she's only been KO'd once. So I think Silva will make a statement here at Madison Square Garden and submit her in the first or second. But
Okay. Yeah, nice breakdown. Yeah, I'll start with Karini Silva. So, yeah, like you said, she likes to fight on the outside for the most part, out of southpaw. She'll sort of pick at you with kicks on the outside and just sort of just wear on you and make you want to enter range, like make you have to enter range, really, because she's just dominating with kicks from the outside. And when you do come in, she tries to time you with like powerful boxing combinations. I don't think she's a wildly crazy power puncher, but she does clearly hurt girls when she connects well. I think she can be a little low volume at times, but she does make up for it because she has the big moments in the fights where most girls do little to no damage. So that sort of wins her can win her rounds. Um, she's also a very dangerous grappler too. I'd say she just seems to threaten her range of submissions and really just give girls issues with her submission game. She's an aggressive wrestler. I don't think she's hugely technical, but when she shoots, she does get to the hips well and lets her physicality get her the takedown. She's averaging 3.59 takedowns per 15 minutes and 2.2 sub attempts on average per 15 minutes. Good numbers for me. Don't think she's immune either from being swept or anything. Like I think she can be reversed at times on the mat too. We've seen that, and I don't think she's immune from danger either. She's been submitted herself a few times in her career before, and she just sometimes gets put in weird positions. And I do think that potentially she will slow down towards round 3 if there's a hard pace. Now on to Vivi. I think her best days are behind her. It's probably fair to say. Her style is really she just wants to walk you down, threaten you with some wrestling, and basically outpoint you at this point in her career. I don't think she deals with speed or powerful strikes very well at this point. Seen her clipped a few times, but overall, pretty hard to put away. She has a really dangerous guillotine, so if you enter wrong on the hip, she will jump it. In this fight, it's kind of like it's just Vivi. She's death taxes and decision at this point. Silva has the huge finishing upside here. She hits harder. She'll look for those grappling entanglements on the ground to finish or be finished. If she wrestles like normal, guillotine is a potential for Araujo. But if not, I do think Silva's probably just going to have success on the feet too. Vivi's never been submitted, so maybe lean Silva by decision. But I think this is probably just like a physical girl versus physical girl. Um, yeah, interested to see how Silva does with this sort of test because Araujo is a decent test for the division. But yeah, I'd probably lean she wins. If Vivi had been submitted before by had been submitted in general, I'd probably be a bit more inclined to play the under. Under 2.5 is plus 200. And given what we've seen from Silva, it seems like finishing upside is big for her. So maybe that could be an angle.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not super confident. I leaned decision when I did my tape. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have a bet on this one. Nothing really stands out.
yeah, minus
Yeah.
250 is probably I'd say probably a fair price at this point.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree with the money line for sure.
but not one that I'm running to bet.
Yeah, for sure. Might be a good parlay piece, but
Maybe I wouldn't be brave enough. I don't think, but yeah, you never know.
yeah.
All right, so next one, middleweight. We have the return of Bo Nickel, 6-0, which is hilarious, and then taking on Paul Craig, who is 17-8-1 down at middleweight. This is second or third fight at middleweight. Let me have a
I
look. He
think
had
might be the third,
this is his. Oh no, more fourth.
fourth
So,
fight.
yeah, Muniz, Allen, and then Kaio. So he's 1 and 2 at middleweight. Now taking on Bo Nickel. Price wise, you're gonna love the Bo Nickel tax here.
1,000, I'm guessing.
More minus 1,300,
Phew.
and then Paul Craig is plus 775. I'll just quickly get some under props and over props. So over 1.5 is plus 155. Under 1.5 minus 185. Let me just pull my notes up on this one. So we'll start with Bo Nickel. It's just so good to see him fight. Like, it's just nice to see him develop, and he's clearly getting better with his skills.
Mm,
But I'd be lying if I said I wish he fought more frequently. It
same.
doesn't. It feels like he's only fighting like twice a year max. I'd love to see him fight 3 times. I know fighting's hard, and he's probably earning decent coin and stuff like that. He probably doesn't have to. But in terms of being a fighter who's 6-0 and super green against high level MMA competition, I would just love to see him get a bit more cage time. Um, Look, I didn't love overall how he looked in the striking with Brundage. He does have good speed when he throws, but he does overextend, and you can just tell it's not his strong suit. And when he panics, he just goes straight back to his bread and butter, just quick to enter on the hips and run through his target. He has good grappling for his level, pure submission level. I'd say it's getting more and more developed, but he's just so threatening with the way that he can maintain top control while his opponent looks for a way out that it sort of emphasizes his submission game. Like, there's no debate for me in this one that Paul Craig is the more dangerous pure submission guy. But the question is whether he's going to get the chance because Bo Nickel is going to be entering on his hips. If he doesn't get half guard, then he'll be advancing from half guard and just maintaining top control and just threatening the whole time. It opens up his submission game to be more dangerous. Like I said, I do think he's at a lower level in terms of pure BJJ level, but he also has good athleticism and strength and wrestling background. But like the way Pickett and Brundage were both able to survive some bad spots for a while, like he wasn't an insta stop when it got to the mat. And yeah, like I said, takedown game is just so effective. He's just level above guys. Um, Paul Craig, like the move to middleweight seems to have been relatively positive, I'd say. Doesn't seem to be having any issues with moving down that you might associate with a big long frame. He was already very chinny at light heavyweight, so to see him move down to middleweight and be relatively fine I think it's a pretty good look for him. He is just dog shit on the feet. He does not see shots coming well at all. He's slow to react. This is probably why he's been KO'd so many times in his
Mm,
career. His output is slow. It's slow as fuck. I think Nickel's going to beat him to the punch. He clearly wants to fight to the ground, whether it's him on top or off his back. He doesn't really give a shit. The issue with wanting to fight on the ground, you can't have poor wrestling to not be able to get the fight to the ground, which he has. I think for him, luckily, Nickel has no drama taking his opponents down, and I'm pretty sure Craig will be pretty content to oblige him and fight off his back if that's what Nickel wants to do. Overall, in this fight, I don't think Craig really will have anything for the wrestling offense for Bo. But also, like I said, I think he probably wants to be off his back. It'll be interesting to see what game plan Nickel comes in with, which we'll find out pretty quickly because if he does the smart thing, and that's what Caio Borralho does, and doesn't follow Craig to the mat, I think he should probably KO him here. Craig's just way too hittable. He's got no chin, and he's been KO'd consistently for years now. Nickel has the same reach. He's got far more speed. He's going to beat Craig to the target 9 times out of 10. Craig is super dangerous everywhere on the mat, and he'll look for leg entanglements. And, he had a nasty calf slicer almost against Brendan Allen. But I'd say his bread and butter is in his closed guard, where he looks to, invert to his hips and threaten arm bars and triangles and stuff like that out of his guard. So if Nickel does follow him down to the mat, he could catch Nickel, as he's caught a lot of guys. But if Nickel isn't a dumb piece of shit, he'll box his head off on the feet. And I'm pretty keen to see the Nickel TKO price here, personally.
Yeah, good breakdown. Yeah, I completely agree there. I don't have too much to say about this one because I think Bo Nickel will cover his price. Just more of a, like you said, just how he approaches this. If Bo Nickel wants to get some reps in on the feet, even his imperfect striking style will be enough to knock Craig out, which that's what I lean towards. And yeah, Craig has just a non-existent defense on the feet and really bad offense. But if Nickel chooses to make this another display of his wrestling accolades, the takedown is there and easier than ever because Craig will welcome it. That's his path to victory. It's to get takedown and surviving. And he'll need to be consistently threatening like triangles and arm bars while avoiding fight-ending damage on the ground or getting caught in a sub of his own. But honestly, if you're betting this fight, you're either betting Craig or you're picking your poison with the KO or sub.
Yeah.
Or looking for round props. So I'm leaning Bo Nickel by KO. Like he got a sub last time against someone whose only chance was on the feet, which was Cody Brundage, and Nickel didn't look too good on the feet. And this time around, Craig has no stand-up game to worry about. But so you'd think that maybe Nickel will want to show that he's got the good striking. But one thing to also note or consider is if Nickel wants to make a statement by submitting the submission artist. So I think I'm going to keep an eye out on what he says in interviews this week. If he says anything like, yeah, I want to beat him in his own game or something like that, then I'll lean Nickel by sub. But right now, I'm going to take Bo Nickel by KO.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some props. Nickel by TKO is listed at minus 175.
Oh.
And then you've got Nickel by submission is plus 250. So the books are on it. They're favouring KO quite a bit. Which makes...
So if I hear anything like I'm going to beat him at his own game, then I'm just going to hammer that sub.
Yeah. Yeah, over under 1.5 is minus 185. Nickel round 1 is minus 125. Yeah, it's just a typical Bo Nickel fight. Ugly prices.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Craig is he's a dangerous guy, but he's not going to have anything on the feet for Nickel, I don't think. Even though Nickel is green and it's his worst area, I just think the speed difference is crazy. Yeah, I'm with you. I think sub could be potentially an angle given that price, but it would have to be pretty convincing midweek.
Yeah.
All right, so co-main event time.
Here we go.
Are you ready? The rematch at lightweight. We've got Charles do Bronx Oliveira, 34 wins, 10 losses. Coming in here off the back of that loss to Sarukian. How did you score that fight personally?
I had money on Charles, so I'm going to be very biased.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. I think there's an argument.
Yeah, there's an argument. So, but I think Sarukian took rounds 2 and 3. Was it 2 and 3? Yeah,
I think it was 2 and 3, but the
he was
third
dominating
The
Oh, he
third was
was
when he
winning
had
the
him in
third
that
round.
submission, right?
Yeah. In the
Yeah.
third round, he was like Sarukian was winning, but then Charles like had him in that was it a DAS?
Yeah, I think it was a DAS, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you've got Kim coming off the back of that split decision loss. Before that, had the win over Benil. So like he's in all right form. I think a split decision loss to Armin is a pretty fucking good look.
It's a good look, yeah.
And then you've got Mike Chandler, who is coming in here off the back of that loss to Dustin Poirier, which feels like yesterday, but was actually 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost actually 2 years ago to the day today. That's bizarre.
Wow.
Yeah, so it'll be 2 years and 4 days since he stepped in the octagon when he fights on Sunday here in Australia. Price wise, we have Charles Oliveira at a minus 255 price,
Yeah.
which, if you know anything about backing Charles Oliveira, is a horrific price.
That is wide.
Yeah, and then you've got Michael Chandler plus 215, it looks like. So I led the last one, so you lead us off here, brother.
Yeah. So, like you said, rematch from the 2021 title fight where Charles finally achieved his dream of capturing UFC gold after a decade in the promotion. And it began one of the most entertaining title runs, like as of like recent history. Um, Charles was nearly finished in round one after getting dropped from strikes, but he made it to the bell and quickly got a KO in round two with a tight left hook and finished Chandler by strikes. So Chandler's been away for 2 years, but he's been training the entire time. He was looking for that Conor McGregor money fight that just never came to fruition. I'm glad
Do
he's
we
finally dropped it.
do we agree that this is the Conor McGregor contender fight?
I think it's more of a Conor McGregor contender fight than he is a title
Yeah,
contention fight.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Chandler's been away for 2 years, but he has been training the entire time, and I will have to check out his interviews during the week and see how he hypes this up at the press conference. Like, does he want to win a one-sided fight or does he want to win an entertaining fight? So I'll be looking for keywords like war or kill or be killed. But until I can make a read on that, I can't quite figure out the way this fight will go, as I think the way Chandler approaches this tactically dictates the look of this fight. But I can work with what we do know. I don't see Charles doing anything different because he's always looking for the kill and coming forward. Like, it's clear that the Truth Your Box gym isn't one for detailed strategies, and you can see it in the way they train as well. They're there to outlast and finish you. Charles will establish control of the middle of the octagon, throw teep kicks down the middle as he walks you down, keeps on that pressure, throws heavy straight punches in the pocket, and when he gets close, grab a hold of the tie clinch where he does some pretty big damage. There is plenty of holes in his game. Like, he always held his chin very high, stands tall, and he very much can get dropped with any clean shot, but he's got insane ability to recover. Like, he's like a Terminator. So that's what he was doing during his title run, just getting hurt and winning. And then he ran into Islam. So Michael Chandler, incredibly athletic and has so much raw power. Like, he knows he can finish Charles as he was very close, but he also knows Charles can finish him. So since Charles stands very upright and he comes in reckless, I actually like Chandler's loopy power punches. I didn't like them against Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, who were more boxing orientated in their stance. But I think it could work well against a Charles who just stands very tall, has his hands up, like he can catch him to the temple and stuff. Chandler's wrestling may come into play here. Like, Charles's first line of defense against a takedown will be that guillotine, which I wish he got that against Armin. But if Chandler avoids getting subbed by guillotine, he has heavy top control, and Charles will be willing to play the guard game. He is very active from his guard, but as we saw with him in Benil Dariush. But if Chandler is careful, he can secure rounds. This is a 5-rounder, and I think for as long as this fight lasts, it will be fun. And at the moment, I'm in the headspace where if Chandler comes in aggressive, looking to win in an entertaining barn burner, or he is strategic, choosing his spots and securing takedown, I'll still favor Charles to win. But from a betting perspective, Charles money line at, what did he say, minus 250?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's playable for me because like this fight is so volatile. But you can maybe snipe a method of victory for either.
Uh,
And
that price is horrific.
yeah, yeah, very. And for people looking to bet on Chandler, like the money line, absolutely playable. But like I said, I don't favor Chandler to win this fight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like,
Charles, I think.
yeah, you know me, I've been a long time Charles guy. Like we've made some good money on him on that title run. Like we had him in the fight against Chandler at I think maybe slight dog odds. I feel like I got him at +130 somewhere around there.
Yeah, he was an
Um,
underdog in like most of those fights,
yeah,
except for Gaethje.
DP, we got him as well.
Yeah,
Against Dustin, we had him, and then Gagey, he was a slight favorite, but I think I took him by submission and got a pretty decent price for that too.
nice.
Um, so like and we took him against Benil too at +120, +130 somewhere.
That was a steal,
Um,
I reckon.
yeah, like there is a very clear price range of where you play Charles, and it is underdog. Like if they do not favor him, I mean, and it's because he can finish anyone. He's so dangerous, and he can knock anyone out. He can submit anyone. If you can get this guy at +130 and onwards, then you take it because he's one of the most lethal finishers we've ever seen. But you do not back him when he is -250
No,
because he is so not durable. He's got so many defensive holes. Um, he's beatable. I'd say like as fun as he is to watch, as much as I love him, he is beatable. Like on the feet, he has pretty decent Muay Thai overall process, I'd say, but defensively he is horrific. Doesn't see shots coming well. I don't know if he corrected those eye issues, but there's been a long time story that he couldn't see 5 feet in front of his face, which makes sense because I don't think I've ever seen him slip a fucking punch in my life. Um, and if Chandler, I mean, what can you say about Chandler? He's one of the fucking dumbest fighters that you have ever seen on the roster.
low IQ, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for better or for worse. I mean, clearly for worse. He loves putting these fun fights on where he has a heap of success early. Fucking his juice body gets overwhelmed, then he gasses out rounds 2 and 3 and gets finished. Um, can't deny that he's fun as hell to watch, but in terms of being a guy that you want to back at good odds, who has a good process and will stay in the fight and whatnot, he's just not the guy. Um, but this is a weird one. Like Chandler being out for 2 years is clearly a net negative at his age. It's not good. Um, but like after what he went through against Poirier, which was brutal, Gagey, which was brutal, I kind of like I'm glad he had a little bit of time off. I think this is too much time, but I'm glad he had a little bit off.
yeah. It might be a positive that he's not getting like that level of damage in like a
Yeah,
2 year.
yeah, for a little bit,
Yeah,
for sure. 2 years is extended, but this is a fight that you've seen him have success in. We've seen him almost finish Charles. We've seen him land big shots. We've seen that he's not afraid to go into Charles's guard, which I don't know if it's the best idea, but he's shown that he doesn't care.
hmm.
He's also defended Charles on the back for 2 minutes, which is more than Dustin Poirier can say against anyone who's ever taken his back. So he's clearly like relatively good defensively on the ground because anyone we've ever seen Charles take the back of, he's finished. And he had Chandler in a fucking body lock triangle takedown.
He reversed
Uh,
him, didn't he?
yeah, he reversed him.
Yeah, beautiful.
He's bizarre. He's one of the most bizarre natural athletes. Well, maybe not natural. One of the most bizarre athletes we've ever seen in the UFC. Um, I think it almost. I mean, I haven't finished taping this fight, so I don't want to give. I don't want to go early, but it feels like Chandler has to be the side, right?
Yeah,
At
yeah.
plus,
Like I said earlier, like I think Charles will win, but like I like Chandler at those odds
oh,
has to be.
it feels like I almost have to play it. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't want to because I don't necessarily think he wins, but they're giving me +375 on Chandler to win by TKO.
plus 375.
Yeah, it's insane. It's
Yeah,
insane.
we've seen him drop
Um,
Charles too. So
yeah, it's. I mean, it's a great fight. I'm super keen to watch it. The other thing I'll note as well is, do you think Charles looked a little bit? Um, like maybe hesitant in his Armin fight?
I can't quite remember the
Like
hesitancy.
I remember in the first round, he sort of looked hesitant to engage. Like he didn't have that crazy shooter box style pressure, and that could be because Armin has
Probably
pretty.
the takedown threat.
Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily worried about the takedown threat, but maybe just the striking coming back at him. Like Armin's a pretty good kickboxer from the
Mm.
outside, so maybe he was scared to like get clipped on the way in or something, and the pressure was a little bit less. But to me, he looked a little bit hesitant in that fight. But look,
He
against a
wasn't
good
as
Tom Health.
aggressive as usual.
No, I don't think he was near as aggressive as usual. Um, yeah, look, I haven't finished taping it, so I don't want to say anything like specific. But I think Chandler has to be the side at plus 215. That seems like a crazy
Yeah,
overcorrection to me.
yeah. Might be a situation where we bet the numbers.
Yeah, I think so. Round props are horrific. Like under 1.5 is minus 150.
Yeah, let's not go.
No, I don't love that.
I don't love it.
Um, yeah. Anyway, I think we're both on the same side. That look, it should be a really fun fight. Chandler being a plus 215 dog is insanity, and
Yeah,
probably will have to get played. But yeah, I'm
yeah,
super keen for this one. It's going to be sad. Like if Charles loses, I'll be sad. If Chandler
yeah.
loses, I'll be less sad. But
He's likable. I like him. So,
Chandler.
yeah.
But is he going to make a title run?
No,
Fuck
I don't think he
no.
will.
No, but would him versus Connor be fun? Probably.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
Connor's
know.
not fighting again, man. Like,
Yeah.
look at
Fuck, I
him.
don't know. Yeah. Good fight. I'm super keen. Great main of great co-mate. It's 5 rounds too.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah. It'll be
which has to
interesting to see the
play.
numbers,
Yeah, I mean,
like move
5 rounds
throughout.
has to play to Charles's advantage.
Yeah.
Um, given just how badly we've seen Chandler gas for the most part, but it only goes 5 rounds if it can get to 5 rounds. And with these two, I don't know if it
Yeah.
does.
Agreed.
All right, so let's move on to the main event
Here we go.
and the most anticipated fight of the year, the decade,
The
the
money
universe
fight.
ever. Heavyweight main event title fight. John Bones Jones, 27-0. I'm going to say, fuck the one. Coming in against Stipe Miocic, who's 20-4. So let me just quickly pull up their profiles so I can be specific. So we haven't seen Stipe fight in, fuck, how many years is it now? Let me have a look.
3 years.
3 years fully. So Francis Ngannou, March of 2021. Yeah, so more than 3 years, 3.5 years. Um, and he got knocked out bad in that fight. What can you
Yeah.
say? He is 42 years of age now. Coming up here against John Jones, who is 1-0 at heavyweight against Cyril Gane, obviously, and hasn't fought in about 18 months as well, year and a half. Obviously, he had that. I think it was pec tear. Yeah, he had that pec tear when
I'm
he
pretty sure it was that.
was supposed to fight in last November, actually, and now they're back a year later. So again, if that helps anyone, it has to be Jones because Steve is 42 years old.
Mm.
I don't have a whole lot to say on this fight, if I'm honest. Like John has sort of struggled. There's been an archetype of fighter that has had not that John has struggled against because he hasn't really struggled against anyone, but there's been an archetype of a fighter that has had success against John, and it's a guy that has relatively good footwork and takedown defense to keep the fight standing, and has success in boxing range. Like Dominic Reyes, probably the one that we would say has had the most success against John, like arguably beat him. And what's Dom? He's like a counter wrestler with good boxing, really. Um, Obviously, the first Gus fight, John had struggled with a lot as well. And what's he? Pretty much a boxer with decent counter wrestling. So, like, it's that kind of guy that will give John trouble because I do think his boxing defense at this point is probably his weakest point, just given how kind of slow he is. But look, is Stipe going to come in here at 42 years of age and box the head off John Jones? I don't think so. John has proved durable his whole career, never been dropped, never been really hurt. So is Stipe at 42 years of age going to come in here and do that? No, I don't think so. And John just has huge wrestling upside. Like he's a Greco-Roman wrestler, which means these are the guys that work off sort of sweeps and foot and throws and things like that. They get their hands grasped and then they're throwing. It's not like pure double legs and things like that you would expect from a traditional US wrestler. But that works well because he's a huge frame, he's long, and he's strong as fuck. So look, will he have success against Stipe there? Yeah, I'd say so. If it gets
Do
to
you
the
think he
clinch,
takes him down easily
maybe not easily, but I
as the
think
fight goes
he's
on?
yeah. As the fight goes on, I think he's stronger and I think he's more physical. Um, and I think I think he'll probably have success. Do you have any idea what Stipe's takedown defense stats are? I'll
Um,
look it up. So
no, I
he
don't
is
have
has a
that.
68% takedown defense. Um, and look, he's fought wrestlers before. He's fought DC and decent guys, but I think the athletic difference between light heavyweight and heavyweight is definitely different. But
That's nothing.
But John still sizes up well, regardless for heavyweight or light
Yeah,
heavyweight. And look, it's pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear what Jones is trying to do. Like you can see his camp. He's got Gable Stevenson in there, who's an US Olympic wrestler. He's got Gordon Ryan, who's like the best no gi BJJ player we've ever seen. I think it's pretty clear he doesn't want to spend too much time on the feet. And given what we saw in that Garn fight, probably makes sense because he looked old as fuck. He looked slow, um, plodding. Just looked. I mean, he looked fat and he looked terrible. If I'm
yeah,
being completely honest on the feet there, but it's clear he is priming his wrestling game to come in here, take Stipe down. I guess my hot take would be that I think he might KO. I don't even know if it's a fucking hot take at this point. I think he might KO Stipe. 12 to 6 elbows are back just in time for the Johnny Bones special. I could see him, going back to the well and saying,
mm,
"You guys made this illegal. Now it's legal," and just having top position after some wrestling success and finishing an old Stipe or like a mercy stoppage from probably Goddard, the fucking wanker. Um, yeah, I mean, it's really hard for me to see Stipe have success in this one. How does he win mostly? It's like boxing
yeah.
success, and is he really going to knock John out at this point? I don't think so. Um, yeah, side has to be John. I mean, the price is -700. It's horrific. Stipe +500. I'm not interested in playing anything there. I think John wins, and they probably both retire, and that should be the end of it.
Do you like the prop for the knockout?
I don't know. Probably haven't had a look at the price yet. Let's have a look. So we've got over and under 2.5 rounds. Over 2.5 is +115. Under 2.5 is -145. So books are
I might look
thinking
at overs.
yeah, so books are thinking that probably what Stipe gets finished in the first 2 rounds,
I
and
don't think.
then
Yeah.
you've got Jones TKO is one +125, Jones submission is +200, Miocic TKO is +600, Jones by decision +425. There's really not that much intriguing to me there. What's your breakdown?
Yeah, well, like I tend to agree with pretty much everything you have said about like the matchup. I honestly think you've covered everything that I've written down. Like Stipe is a lifelong athlete, wrestled in college, Golden Gloves champion, has a storied MMA career. He's known for his boxing, deceptively strong punches, and very good wrestling. But like one thing I will say, he has like an incredible ability to adapt. And that second Cormier fight, like the left rips to the body, that was the best example of mid-fight adjustments like
Mm.
you'll ever like point out. But yeah, his last fight was a KO loss to Francis, and at age 42 and 3 years away, how will he even look like? Like he was never a fast, explosive, or athletic heavyweight, but he was as well-rounded as you can get for a heavyweight of that era. And John Jones, like we all know, John Jones, he's got every weapon in the book: distance strikes, pocket, clinch, on the ground, and like he has one fight in his resume that truly showcases every part of his game. And
And durable too. Never seen him.
yeah, durable. You never
He's
even
got
really seen him hurt.
he's got the most underrated chin I think I've ever seen in the sport. Like it does get mentioned a little bit, but he's never even been hurt. He's literally never been hurt.
Yeah, even when he was getting like damaged by Gustafsson, like he didn't even look rocked at any point. He just
No,
like
he's never
took the
been
strike.
close to being finished.
Yeah. So yeah, that fight he just got like cut up and his face was bruised, but he not at no point was he like stumbling or
No.
any of that. So yeah, as for this matchup, like I think this might involve a lot of clinching early along the fence. Why? Because Jones is smart. He will look to take this to the ground, and I think early on, like Stipe should be able to defend for the most part. That's why I do lean the over 2.5 look. Um, while Stipe is past his prime and he's slow and old, like I think the boxing threat is the only thing he can offer Jones. Like Jones is phenomenal in all ranges, but maybe pure boxing is not really his strength. Like there's like a there's the yellow zone where Stipe can't touch him, but Jones can like get him with kicks. Then there's the red zone where Stipe is in the boxing range, and I think that's where he does have a chance. But then there's the really super close up like clinch zone where like Jones is probably
Elbows.
like the best there is, like the dirty boxing zone, like with
Yeah.
the clinch elbows and the like he has like upwards elbows, spinning elbows
Spinning.
with
Yeah.
knees. Like he's probably the best in that like super red zone. And yeah, I think earlier on it might be a stalemate kind of thing where Jones is trying to get him down against the fence, and Stipe, I think he'll be able to defend for the first 2 rounds at least, and I do see Jones eventually getting him to the ground. It may not play out as a fun fight. That's the thing, like with that kind of game plan. But yeah, I think you covered everything. I think John Jones KO might be a good look when he gets him on the ground, maybe even a sub.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
have you seen Stipe walk?
he's slow.
Fucking not
Yeah,
only is he slow, he's got no
no,
knees, no hips,
no
whatever the
knees.
fuck it
Yeah,
is. I don't know what it is. He can't even walk. Like, how's this guy going to fight properly?
yeah,
And then the other thing I think as well is like when you cap these fights, maybe not as much on the early prelims and stuff like that, but when you get towards the top of these cards and you have fights that have big implications on the overall sport, and um, there's this constant back and forth about Francis Ngannou is the best heavyweight of all time. Clearly, he's not in the UFC anymore, and the UFC have done their best to try and sort of negate that people think that he's the greatest. They've tried to scrub him a little bit from the history books, and Dana's got this beef with him, and it's
yeah,
been very clear in the last 3 or 4 months that Dana is trying to promote this narrative that John is the greatest. If he wins this, he's the greatest heavyweight of all time, and stuff like that. And it's clear that the UFC, are trying to sort of leave their mark in the John Jones business by
mm,
having him be go out on top and beat the greatest heavyweight there ever was in Stipe, and they want that narrative. So I think in terms of that, you have to bring that into your analysis a little bit. Like, obviously, it's not as important as the stylistics, but it does have to go into when you break down fights. And for me, it's pretty clear that the UFC don't give a fuck about Aspinall at this point. Otherwise, John would be fighting him. And I think they want Jones to finish. I think they want John Jones to finish, get a win, and go out on top. Whether or not he comes back and fights Aspinall, that's another story of how much money they think they could make, and how much money that John thinks he could get out of their fight. But yeah, to me, I think they want him to finish. I think he probably will finish. I don't know whether it's early or late, but I think if it gets to the ground, he's going to be live to submit or TKO at pretty much all points.
yeah, yeah. I
So
agree with that.
it's like a bit of a bummer way to end the card. But like it's kind of cool because there's so much history with Stipe, and it'd be
Finally got
nice
some
to
closure, really.
yeah, it's nice to see him retire. And I mean, if John retires too, I'll be sad. Like John has been my favorite fighter Not anymore, but like he was the guy that got me into the sport. So
Yeah,
for me
yeah,
personally, like it'd be pretty sad to see him retire if he does as well, or even if he loses somehow. It'll be pretty sad. So look, it will be like a crossroads fight with some emotion for sure. And look, if they don't give fucking Stipe or Jones a retirement package, and they give
Michelle
Michelle
Waters,
Waterson, and then who was the other fucking
Carla
girl?
Esparza, I think.
Yeah, Carla Esparza. They give them packages, I'll be spitting chips. But no, like it is a sad way to finish the card. But let's just hope it all's well that ends well, huh?
Yeah, yep, exactly.
All right, so that's the card done. So let's quickly
Have we
do
agreed
our.
on a fight yet?
Well, we'll find out here.
Yeah, all right.
All right, so we're going to do our quick picks. So this is not betting wise. This is just picks. So who you think is going to win the fight? Hardy or Mora?
Hardy,
I'm going to side Hardy, but I'm potentially going to bet Mora. Hafez or Oben?
Oben.
Fucking hell. I'm going to go Hafez.
Here we go. Yep.
There's a
Nice.
disagreement.
Let's
Goal or Brahimaj?
Mickey Gol.
Mickey Goal, which is fucking terrifying. Tibura or Denise?
My boy, Jonata Diniz.
Yeah, I'm going to go with your boy Denise too. Jim Miller versus Damon Jackson.
Jim Miller.
God, there's so many where I'm like, I can pick the guy, but I want to bet the underdog. I'm going to go Damon Jackson.
Nice.
Chris Weidman, Eric Anders.
Weidman.
Weidman too for me. J Mart versus McGee.
McGee for me.
Yeah, I'm going to side McGee as well. Hoofy Lontop.
Hoofy.
Hoofy for me too. Vivi versus Carini.
Karini.
Yeah, I'm going to go Carini too. Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig.
Bo Nickel.
Yeah, Bo Nickel for me as well. Charles Oliveira versus Chandler.
This one. This is. I'll pick Charles Oliveira, but I might have a bet on Chandler.
100% the same for me. I'm going to pick Charles, but I'm definitely going to have a bet on Chandler, I think. And then the main event, John Jones versus Stipe.
John Jones.
John Jones for me as well. So that wraps up the breakdown for the card. I guess if anyone's tuning in and they got any questions about the card or anything, feel free to chuck it in the chat. We can stick around for another couple of minutes and answer some questions and stuff if anyone's got any. Do you want to put together and I'm going to start posting this on socials too, our WagerWise parlay. I forgot to do it last week and it lost anyway. And it lost, so I'm kind of glad. Denise Gomez would have fucked us. Yeah. So let's go. Two-legger. Pick your favorite leg. Actually, I've got an amazing idea.
Yeah.
I've got a good one. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I know we agreed on both of these fights.
Weidman.
I propose a two-legger parlay, one being Christopher Weidman.
Yeah.
And the other being
Mickey Gol. Oh, that is a combo that I never thought would.
Is that the most untrustworthy parlay in the history of parlays?
I feel like Mickey Gol and Chris Weidman for
in 2024,
half a unit
in this economy. I mean, what are you getting? You're probably getting like 5-1.
Oh, let me check.
It'd have to be pretty close.
So we're looking at.
I mean, Chris Weidman's 220 and plus 120 himself. Let me see. I've got it up. Mickey Gol is
plus 292.
So 392.
Yeah, $3.92.
Okay, well, there's that. I'm happy to take other suggestions if you want to go.
I'd like it. I like the look of it.
If you want to go your boy Denise too, you're more than welcome. I feel like we have to throw Weidman in though. I can't believe we both agree and he's a dog.
Yeah, you know what? When I was looking at the Weidman fight the other day, I was just like, "Fuck, am I really am I really picking Weidman here? Like, and I was just trying to think, what would Dill go with as well? Like, if you get it, but then I had this like feeling that you might have gone Weidman as well. So
I can't believe that we both have sided with that.
yeah,
Um, I'm just having a look at the odds. What did we say Mickey Gore was? Because he looks like he's come into favouritism. Maybe. Oh no, he was always minus 125.
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
got
that
he's
makes,
at $1.77 at the moment, so
yeah,
it's minus. Yeah,
yeah, that checks out. Yeah, I thought I might have seen him at dog price, but no, that's perfect. Um, okay, well, do you want to lock that? Let's lock a parlay in.
yeah,
You pick.
yeah,
You happy?
yeah. I'm happy with that, man. Like, if you're happy with that
Yeah, fuck it. We'll just do
parlay,
half. We'll just do a tiny little sprinkle on it.
yeah, half
The
a unit.
we'll call it the untrustworthy parlay for UFC 309, and we'll see what happens. Um,
Yep.
okay, let's do a new little thing too. Let's try. What's your biggest value play? Do you reckon?
Biggest value play.
Yeah, off the top of your head. Sorry to spring it on you.
Yeah.
Because I'm
That I think
thinking,
that I think will win.
yeah, or yeah, well, ideally, or like look good value.
Yeah, Michael Chandler KO.
Yeah,
But
that's good.
that's why I say, do I think we'll win? Like, that's all
I think
dependent
I
on
think if he wins, that's probably his path to
that's his
victory.
win condition, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
So I see that as high value, but I
Mine
do
is
I see that you're in the Veronica Hardy and Eduardo Mora
yeah.
in the
I'm looking at prices there because those props just caught my eye massively.
plus
Hardy by
1,000.
Hardy by submission plus 1400 and Hardy by TKO plus 1,000. I
Look,
don't know which.
you can see Hardy game planning Mora coming in for a takedown, and Dan Hardy would just be like, yeah, and then just attack this guillotine. Or,
Yeah, and she's got a good guillotine too. Like I know she's
yeah,
a karate girl, but she's got decent submissions.
yeah.
Um, and the size and physicality isn't going to be as big as it was versus Denise.
She's got good strength and conditioning now too.
Yeah,
That's
they're just
important.
they're a smart camp. Like they're going to know that this chick's going to be spamming takedowns. So either she has a chance for a submission, or more like gas is so bad and Hardy's sort of might potentially TKO her late. I don't know. I
Yeah,
think they're pretty big props. So I'm really interested on those personally.
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps us up anyway. That's what's that? 2 hours and 20 minutes roughly. So pretty good
Beautiful.
slog.
Yeah,
Do you
mate.
know if we have an event next week, or is there a week off?
Let me check.
Maybe we'll be back at the meat grinder, the Apex. Oh, next week.
What's
Guess what
the?
next week is?
Oh,
UFC Macau. Figgy versus Yarn.
oh wow, that's the
Yeah,
next week.
that's next week. Yeah, the 23rd.
That might be fun. And then do we have a rest week after that?
Don't know.
I know we're due for one.
Yeah, there'll be one coming up. I don't know when exactly. Maybe they'll
Yeah.
wait till Christmas. But next card's not. I mean, there's some good names on it. There's also the
Oh yeah, there is a rest week after that Macau one.
okay. There's that Road to UFC. They have like some. I think it's Road to UFC. They got some of those like unknown Asian fighters that are on here. There might be some good opportunities there
Yeah.
for betting if you can find tape.
Mm. So
But
for
in
the rest
terms,
of the year, we got John Jones this week, UFC Macau next week, a rest week, and then we got UFC 310 in the first week of December.
and that's it for the year.
Oh, and then the week after that, we got my boy Joaquin Buckley against Machado Gary.
Oh, that'd be a good one. We
I'm
should
keen.
we should try and get a guest on for UFC 310.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
have anyone in mind?
yeah. There's a few guys on Twitter I chat to, so we can definitely have a think there, or maybe even our boy MMA DJ Tim. I know he wants to get on.
Oh
So
yeah, he's been very active on the shout out to MMA DJ and Tim. He's been very active on the Twitter, and I love that shoey that he did.
yeah, if you want to see a bloke do a shoey out of a disgusting work boot, go ahead over to his. Um, yeah, and I'm just having a look at that card. It's actually like there's some kind of
Yeah.
decent names. Ulberg versus Ozdemir. which isn't bad. Obviously, the main event, Yan Jianan versus Tabitha Ricci.
Ooh, I've been
Yeah,
fading Tabitha Ricci in every fight. That might be where my
another
fade
fade.
might actually work this time.
Yeah, another fade for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not a bad card.
yeah,
But
I'm looking forward to that.
anyway, that wraps us up. So another episode in the books done.
Let's
Um,
go.
yeah, if you want, like as always, if you want to join the overall group, I mean, MMA is just a small part of it. We hit a plus 1100 rugby try score
That
on the
was
weekend
beautiful.
from PNG, a bloke that probably no one has ever heard of.
Yeah, when you were like Ed, what's his name?
Oh, I
Ed
can't even remember it now.
Marmo,
Yeah, Sylvester.
Sylvester Marmo, and
Yeah,
then I had to like I was watching it and I had to like be like,
is
is
that
that?
him? Was that him? Yeah,
Then he said
yeah.
his name. I'm like, no way.
And he scored in like what 20 minutes or something like that, like
Yeah,
relatively quick.
yeah. It's been
Um,
a good week for the Discord.
yeah, it's been good. NBA's starting to crank. Volume there is insane. But
Esports has
yeah,
been pretty good too.
esports has been ticking along. Yeah, it's been good. So if you
Yeah.
guys do want to get involved there, head to my Twitter. It's at Provide Picks, and there's a link there. You can get 40% off with the code PP40. So if you do want to join the group and get a whole lot of premium tips
Highly
and
recommend.
just join a good community and be able to chat fights and whatnot, come through there and then plug yourself, Ryan.
Yeah, yeah. You can follow me on Twitter. I give free betting tips at Desperate Times One.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thanks everyone who's still here and tuning in. Yeah, we're getting better at these, and we're going to be getting better as it keeps going on, and we'll obviously get through these faster. And who knows? Maybe we'll stop doing lives and we'll actually record and edit them. But for now, this is working. So yeah, we'll just keep doing this, and then we'll just keep slowly improving as well. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll good luck on the fights this weekend. We'll see you next week.
See you guys. Bye.
See ya.